the regular the meeting of the Lake Placid Town Council, July 13th at 5:31 p.m. Tonight we have the pleasure of having Jason Knoll from the Community Church of God to give our invocation. If everybody could please stand.
For 250 years, this country has been in existence. And Abraham Lincoln said that we are a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you, Town Council, for your service to our community. But Abraham Lincoln also recognized that this nation that is of us and by us can only thrive if led by God. I appreciate the opportunity to open this meeting in prayer. Thank you, God, Creator of the entire universe. We are humbled in your presence because you are God. We are not God. But you've called us to a task to lead this nation, to lead this community. And Lord, you've given us so much wisdom to do that, but not enough because we need you. So now, God, we rest upon your wisdom. And I ask a blessing upon this town council, that they would receive from you what they need to govern well. Thank you, God, for who you are, for how much you love us, and for what you give us to accomplish the tasks before us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now I have the pleasure of introducing Roger Linberg, a veteran from the U.S. Army, to lead us with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service. Eva, can you please take the roll?
Mayor Charles?
Here.
Councilmember Royce?
Here.
Councilmember Hayes?
Here.
Councilmember Sapp? Councilmember Eberhardt?
Here. Thank you. And I just want to again give some opening mayor comments, please. I want to begin by recognizing the work of our staff following the severe wind event that was experienced the Friday before Father's Day. The high winds tore the roof off of the batting cage at the ball fields down at Lake June Park and caused damage to fencing, landscaping, and several trees throughout the park. I want to extend sincere appreciation to Jim Fitzgerald, Joe Gray, Steve Dampier, Alan Kiefer, and Chief Snyder, who responded immediately and spent their Saturday clearing debris and securing the area. Their quick action ensured the park was safe for the first annual father-son fishing tournament that took place the very next morning, sponsored by a local business. Because of their efforts, the event moved forward without disruption, and families enjoyed a great day together. Our 250th centennial July 4th picnic in Devane Park was also a tremendous success. The event came together in under 3 weeks through the efforts of volunteers, local businesses, town employees, and generous donors, all without the use of taxpayer funds. We estimate around 250 people attended throughout the event, enjoying music, picnic games, a bounce house, free food. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and many expressed strong interest in making this an annual tradition. I want to thank everyone who contributed their time, resources, and effort to make this celebration possible. I also want to acknowledge the Legacy Foundation for sponsoring a very nice 4th of July fireworks show. Special thanks to Joe Gray, our Lake June Park employee, who marked off the parking area at Lake June Park using red, white, and blue staked marking tape. This allowed our police department to efficiently direct an estimated 150 cars onto the large green space area for safe and organized viewing of the fireworks. The community appreciated the effort, and it contributed to a smooth and enjoyable evening for everyone. Unfortunately, on July 3rd, we experienced another water main break that impacted a large portion of the town. I want to express my appreciation to our water department employees, Brandon Rogers, Roger Diaz, Michael Ashbury, and Patrick Barrett for their response. They worked tirelessly with only a few hours of sleep to resolve the remaining issues and restore service as quickly possible. Their dedication is appreciated. However, I want to also acknowledge the inconvenience this has caused for our residents, especially on a holiday weekend. We understand how disruptive these breaks are, and we're committed to addressing the underlying issues. I've requested analysis of the past 2 years of water break incidents so we can better understand the causes and determine what short and long-term infrastructure improvements need to be planned. This incident also highlighted communication gaps, and we are already working to improve our notification processes so that future updates can be delivered more quickly and consistently. Next, I want to recognize a significant milestone for one of our long-serving employees, Alan Kiefer. Alan's reached 22 years of service this month with the town of Lake Placid. His commitment, professionalism, and steady leadership have been instrumental across many areas of our operations, and his institutional knowledge is invaluable. We appreciate your dedication to the town and thank you for more than 2 decades of service to our community. In closing, I appreciate everyone's efforts over the last several weeks, from emergency response to community events. We'll continue strengthening our operations, improving communication, and planning for long-term infrastructure needs. I personally appreciate the dedication shown by our employees, volunteers, and partners, and I want to thank everyone for their continued support of our town. Moving on to the agenda, we'll open it up to any public comments on non-agenda items. If anyone does, just raise your hand, come to the podium, 3 minutes. Seeing none, moving on. Before we move to the consent agenda, I have 2 agenda-only revisions. First, I request that we remove item 7E, the Lake June Park ballpark lights, and they'll be on a future agenda. And then second, I request that we add 7J, which is the Florida Rural Infrastructure Fund grant application, to the agenda. These revisions only apply to the agenda itself and do not affect the other items within the consent agenda, including the minutes or the financial reports. The chair will now accept a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is 2 scholarship awards from the Ridge League of Cities that I want to acknowledge, and then I just so pleased and proud to have both students here to be able to pass out. And these scholarships award, the timing was after the Lake Placid High School passed out their awards, so these were approved after. And the Ridge League of Cities makes up 24 municipalities within DeSoto, Hardy, Highlands, Hillsborough, Pasco, and Polk counties. And each year they give out scholarships, and because last year Lake Placid joined the League of Cities for the first time, that made us, it was for quite a while that we had been members, that made us eligible that students could apply. And they actually have 2 categories of scholarships. They pass 5 out 5 academic scholarships out, and 5 vocational or trade school scholarships. Of the 10 scholarships, Lake Placid got 2. That's unheard of. 1 in each of the categories, and more important, Highlands County got 2. So that just shows the intelligence of the students that we have and the 2 that applied. So I'm going to come down here, and I've got their certificates and a very nice acrylic, and I'm going to ask Gabrielle Knoll, who's actually the daughter of the pastor that gave the invocation today, and Jacqueline Torres to meet me down here to do formal presentation, and then we'll invite their family to come up for pictures. And I've been told this microphone works. Aha! Look at this. Technology is improving. So first up, Jacqueline Torres. Jacqueline is receiving a $1,250 vocational scholarship. Her plans is to go to South Florida State College to pursue a bachelor's degree and further to pursue a bachelor's degree in psychology, and if possible, continue on education to become a registered children's art therapist. That says a lot about you. So I have this scholarship, and then also a very, very nice plaque to be able to present to you. So, and then, so I suppose, let's do it like this, right, for you, or do that. Okay, I'm gonna switch over here. And this is Gabrielle Knoll. Gabrielle was the recipient of the academic scholarship, which is $2,500. And she's going on to Southeastern University. And her goal is to be a physical therapist to help others regain their independence. They have a nice scholarship award from the Ridge League of Cities, and then I'll go like this. Congratulations, and then also a nice acrylic plaque to give to you. So if the family wants to come up and the council member want to come down, we'll just take a group picture with them. That'd be good. Okay, moving on to item 5B is a regional utility update, both the financials and the grant. This is an item that we're going to continue to keep on monthly so that we can keep ourselves updated on what's going on, especially in the new sewer plant. So I think, is this to Rachel first, Brandon, and Roger from Pannoni? We've got the 3 experts.
I think what we're going to do is go ahead and have Pannoni do the presentation, then Rachel follow through with the financials.
Good evening, Roger Holman with Pannoni. Yeah.
Roger, I mean, closer in the mic, it's,
Better? Roger Hellman with Pannoni. I'm here to give an update on the projects that we're working on that are under the grant. The first one is the biggest project, the wastewater treatment plant, advanced wastewater treatment expansion and modifications. The status of the project is that it's the main wastewater plant, the new plant, has been started up, and it's currently treating wastewater successfully. The town staff's been trained by Ovivo, who's the plant equipment manufacturer. The items remaining, the main thing is the existing package plant is going to be converted to a digester and a chlorine contact chamber. That's still in the process of being the conversion. The contractor had some setbacks. There was the joints in the tank were to be sealed up, and those were some of those joints when they were hydraulically tested, water tested. They did not hold water. There were some leaks, and so they're now going back and repairing those leaks. They've repaired almost all of them. I think there's somewhere around 4 to 5 left. There were closer to probably 15 or so to begin with. Those are tomorrow morning. They're going to add water to the tank and test again the ones that still remain to be leaking, and we're hopeful that those will be sealed at that time. Then the existing plant can be put into service as the digester and the chlorine contact chamber. Hopefully that will occur later this week is what we're thinking. Another issue that's going on with the project that is the access road. The contractors apparently constructed that. It doesn't drain properly. The north end of the road is not draining properly. And so we're in the process now of getting as-built from them to see exactly what was constructed so that they can propose and we can look at what needs to be done to fix the situation so that in the end, the water, it's all supposed to go into a new storm pond that was constructed as part of the project. So that'll be coming up this week also. The substantial completion for the project, what substantial completion is everything is in service. As-built have been received and everything's working properly. That's not been achieved yet by the contractor. Again, hopefully by probably the end of this week, first part of next week, it's possible they may get to that point. At that point, we'll do a full inspection and develop a punch list for items that they have to complete before final completion when they're all the way done with the project. We have a preliminary punch list that has all items as we go along, and they've been working on getting those items finished also. They've still got some things that remain, but hopefully we'll be done. We're hoping that we can be all the way done by the end of July with everything, if things go well. So, any questions about that project?
is that good up here?
Okay. I'll go on to the next one, which is the South Lift Station in Force Main. This is a project to take the town's south wastewater plant offline and to transfer water instead up ultimately to the new plant. So that involves building a new lift station at the wastewater plant property and a force main extension that goes over to the west and connects into the existing collection system. Status of that project, it's all the way complete. The lift station's in operation. The force main's been tested, working properly. The only items that remain are to do a substantial completion inspection, which is going to occur next week, along with the other projects that I'll talk about tonight. We'll do that all hopefully on one day so that we can have town staff there, and we'll be there to go through that. So there'll be a punch list. It's the same thing. A punch list will be developed, and the contractor will need to finish that in order to achieve final completion. With that project, there's not much left. They've already done most of the restoration. It should be relatively minor things that should be seen. So, any questions on that one?
Madam Mayor,
Go ahead.
I have a question. I know several years ago, the town council discussed what to do with that property. Has plans been made, or has there been conversations in the last several years about putting that property up for sale, or what's the plan?
There isn't a plan on our project. What I understand, a couple years ago, to what you're talking about, there was interest to possibly turn that into a septic receiving station, but I haven't heard what's happening with that, and there wasn't in the scope anything to do with the old plant.
No, I understand it wasn't. I guess I just wanted, since we were here, if I didn't realize the work was that far along to be able to shut that down,
Sure.
then I think that's something obviously we need to have a conversation about in the coming months, what the town is going to do, if anything, with that property. Thank you.
Agree. So we can put that on a follow-up list, Brandon, and I mean, these are things that would go, I would like to see as part of the LUPREC committee, right? And then bring it forward to us is what should we do. So we'll start helping them with their agenda. Thank you.
Just one other thing, when we started up the South Plant lift station, what we did was as soon as it was turnkey, ready to go, we immediately started decommissioning the sewer plant in accordance with DEP standards. And so we're about 75% completion of that. Town staff worked, Joellen, and she worked quite a bit last week getting that completed. So we should have that completely done within 2 weeks.
Madam Mayor, if I might, is there anything that the town would do in the process that you just described that would either enhance or potentially negatively impact the ability of a future potential owner to operate some sort of wastewater I guess I don't want us to take any action that makes that property less valuable to a potential successor owner.
We have to follow DEP's standards on how
Okay,
to
thank you.
decommission it.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're doing it exactly how they said. The tanks will be there. We have to just pull like aerators, get the sludge out, clean everything, remove the blowers, pretty much anything that would somebody go out there and turn a key and make sludge and wastewater. We got to eliminate all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to that point, another thing that was done with the design of the lift station, it was constructed, designed with variable frequency drive pumps, so that'll be advantageous if anybody adds any extra flow to that. It was kind of designed for that, where the lift station itself, because the idea would be if there's a receiving station there, it would also, all those flows would go through that lift station, and it's been designed with a little bit higher flows and really what's needed also to have some other capacity.
Madam Mayor, if I might again, I apologize. Sure. I want to make sure in my mind, what I think you just said was if someone else was doing something and they were cleaning water up and there was gray water that needed to be exported off site, there is the ability and capacity there to do that. Is that what you just said?
Correct, with the lift station.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, the third project is what's called the Marquardt Drive and Main Street lift stations force main. KDL is the contractor on that. They're also the contractor on the south lift station. But the status of that one, there was a force main added, a $1.5 some million force main that was added to the project. That's to go all the way up basically from the south, from Marquardt all the way up to the almost to the wastewater plant. But that scope of work is all the way finished. That's to install a larger force main for additional future capacity. That's been installed, tested, everything. It's ready to go in service. In fact, it is in service. The two lift stations, the Main Street is the one on the south side of town. That one has been fully constructed. The startup testing has been performed, and the last thing that needs to happen is some small piping work to redirect the wastewater going into that lift station. That should be done tomorrow, and that station will be fully in operation as of tomorrow. The Main Street lift station, which is further up north, it's fully been tested and has been started up as of today, so it's all the way in operation. Same as the south, substantial completion inspection needs to be completed. And again, expect kind of minor punch list items, and that's going to happen next week, concurrent with the other one. So with that, if you have any questions about that one.
Madam Mayor, I guess maybe you said this and I just missed it. Are we pumping material from the conference center yet?
Yes, yeah, it was a long time ago. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah.
About 18 months. Something like
We've been pumping material from the Camp and Conference Center for the last 18 months?
that. Roughly around, I don't want to say.
Okay. Okay, good, thank you. I didn't realize, I thought there had been holdups down there somewhere. Just, okay, good deal, thank you.
The force main that comes from the south lift station actually connects into that line, into that force main, so,
Thank you.
okay.
If I might, Madam Mayor, I know, again, having been gone for a while. So how are we, I'll ask the question later, but I guess maybe I'll come ask you in private, but how are we billing them? I mean, how are we calculating what flow is? We don't have a flow meter. There's not water going in. I'm assuming there's not a wastewater flow meter, so if we just come to an agreement with them?
The lift stations that were constructed, those are town lift stations. There's not really any new flows so much. Any new flows would be calculated based on your water flows if there's any new customers. But with this project, there really weren't any new customers. The south lift station, the purpose of that, main purpose was to take the south wastewater plant offline because it was old and in bad shape, and to route to the new plant.
No, I guess maybe I didn't ask. How are we determining what rate the Camp and Conference Center pays for wastewater services?
Okay, Cameron, you can answer that.
Yeah, so each month from the 1st to the 31st, 30th, we get our reads, and each pump has a designed flow that it's designed to pump, and we times it by, 60 times whatever the design flow, and that's how we get the gallons. And then we charge that.
We have a methodology.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're passing on.
So all the projects that Roger went over, it was funded by 3 grants. One was the WGO 17. That was $40 billion, and the WGO 25, that was $600,000, and it was a RIF grant for $570,000. On the first slide, I'm bringing this one up because this is the timeline that initially started. So it started out for 2022, then it went to June of 2026, and Roger went over the dates and everything. That date has passed, so, but the mayor wanted this sheet put in there as far as just reminded of the dates that was in there before, or the potential dates. And the next sheet, Mark. And this one shows here as far as how much that we done draw down from the state, from the 40 billion. And it shows by each task of the 40 million that we, so far we don't draw it down on. So for 34 million has been drawn down, and 5.2 is still remaining. And it has a chart to kind of show you where most of the funds went. Of course, it went into the construction part of it. And on the next one, it shows, it kind of pretty much shows the same thing. It shows the task, but it shows the budget. The original budget started out as far as each task. And then you kind of notice on the right-hand side, it kind of show you for the construction. It went over like 63,000, according to the original budget. And then also for equipment, there was some equipment added on there later on, which we call FDEP, and they approved that. It was eligible for reimbursement, so we added that in there too. So as of the last pay request that we put in is 2.6 million is still remaining to draw down, and we got another request for payment coming out in August. We can only do them every 30 days, so I just sent the one for July, and so in August we have another drawdown, and then the final one is in September. And the next one, so on this one here, it kind of show you the task just in a different way. It show you the task as far as in the vendors. So on this one, the 34 million, it shows by each vendor how much of funds went to each one of the contractors. And of course, most of it, again, goes to all the construction part of it. And you got a chart on there to show you that one. And so in the $40 million line of credit, 4 million of the 40, it was a line of credit taken out on that, and the line of credit is still outstanding. The 4 million that the town had loaned from the bank, the town is right now using those funds to pay the invoices to the vendors. So hopefully by the end of the month, that the town will be able to take that $4 million and pay the line of credit back off. And then that way, and it's only like 2.6 million, and it's going to be about 1.1 or 1.2 million in there to final pay off the rest of those invoices that come through. So hopefully they won't come through all at one time. So we just got the last pay request for, I think it was like 450,000 or something like that. So there's enough funds to pay that as well. And so once the line of credit is paid off, and the funds left over in that account will be put right back into the capital account where that funds were borrowed from. And it looks like that the whole project's gonna go over maybe like 268,000. That's the line of credit, yeah. On that sheet, it just shows how much the interest rate and how much the town done paid so far on the interest on that 4 million. So it kind of just recapped from the beginning to the end of the loan. And hopefully by the end of the month, we'll get out of paying the interest. So this grant sheet was put together kind of showing all the other grants that the town got outstanding. So we had the 130, which is the 319 grant, 495,000. This grant is only for connection. It cannot be used for infrastructure or construction. It has to be on private property where they can actually install more connections or grinders, or what is the other thing is? Yes. So, and we also have a sham grant. This one here is for $2.9 million. This is for equipment. It's for pumps. Right now, this project is the grant coordinator is working with the grantee on this one, and I think the next thing that she got going on this one is that she have to submit a report. Then we got the Florida Cyber Grant. This one's kind of tossed in the air. There's still some conversation between the state and the town. We got the Resilient Grant for $182,000. This is for, I think this one's for vulnerability. And we got the STAG grant for $2.5 million. This one, I'm not sure if this one got vetoed or not. I'm not sure. Now, Jennifer put this together, so I'm kind of ad-libbing here. In the FERDAP grant, but there's no funds for FERDAP, so that one should have been taken off of this list. The Lake Placid Camping Conference Center for the for water side of it, the wastewater part is closed, but we still have not gotten the final disbursement from the wastewater side of it, so we're still waiting on the state to say it's final closed, and the town got the final reimbursement of, I think it was like 78,000. Stormwater resistance. So the police station, that'll be a marked discussion as far as what's going on with that project. But for the $800,000, we've heard from the governor that it got approved. So with that, those funds will go back into the infrastructure funds to reimburse for some of the project costs. So it'll just offset the cost of that. And again, the WGO25, that grant is closed out, and the RIP grant, that one is also closed. And we just discussed the WGO17 for the $40 million grant. And that's pretty much the grants.
So just real quick on the Lake June water line expansion, 1.6 million, that was not approved by the governor, so that one falls off. But the whole purpose here is there's a lot of grants that we've applied for that we're either waiting or we've been approved. So just a lot of activity going on, as you can imagine, that we're going to continue to monitor very closely. A lot of these fall, again, under utilities, and that's where, the Utilities Commission is going to be very active in a lot of the support that we're going to need on where we use, because sometimes it's just lift stations. Well, which lift stations and where? So, and the same thing with hookups. Where are we going to do that? So, we're really at the ground level of now starting to do some really good infrastructure planning. And there's money here, and then there's other grants. But a lot of the comments that are asked is, how much do we have to pay up front, right? It's that whole, we really don't want to start taking out loans in order to pay our bills, but really work with DEP on their advance payment for little towns like us. One of the reasons we're a little delay here in paying off the loan is DEP in the month of June does a blackout for payments, and they told me this is a blackout period. I said, what does that mean? They owe us this money. Well, they don't make payments during the month of June. So something that I'm curious on, I know I'm very curious, and we'll work that back, but there was no reimbursements from them in the month of June, which then put this ability to pay off our loan sooner. So things that we always find as we start digging more into the details and the challenges that, we'll get the right people involved to get us a good answer or help us to avoid interest costs.
Madam Mayor, if I
Please.
might, this is for either Rachel or Mark. Has the state of Florida indicated to you when they plan to release the $800,000 for the police station?
No, we have not heard exactly
Okay.
when they're going to release it.
I asked that question because the folks at Highlands County told me it could be quite a while before they perceive they may get money for the firehouse. And I just think that's something we ought to, both from our police station and to get a better understanding of how much to press Highlands County to get started on the fire station, what the state's normal operating procedure is, because county administrators seem to indicate they may not get going for another year on this fire department, for various reasons. And I think we need to probably press them, get with the chairman and press them to move forward. And that's why I'm just curious whether or not you'd heard about this 800.
Just from last year's appropriations were passed out around January, February timeframe the following year. So I'm
So it
expecting
took
it to come out
6
about
months after signature. Okay, good deal. And just another general question. Part of the money that was funding some of these lines and lift stations from the Camp and Conference Center was through legal agreements or contracts we have with them. I assume, are they upholding their end of the deal and making payments as required and all that?
Yes, Lake Placid
Okay.
Campus Conference Center, and they, for the loan part of this SRF, they send $4,000 every month
Okay.
to make sure that is paid off.
So I want to make sure they were living up to their agreement. Thank you.
I'm trying to make sure I'm clear on the bottom line for the wastewater treatment plant. On the page that has the red bar, I see that there was an advance, number 18. That one's been submitted, right?
Correct.
Okay, and has 19 been submitted, or is that an estimate of what it will be?
That was going to be an estimate, but 17 and 18 was submitted together, 4.6 million.
So, okay, so we know 17, 18 are hard, good numbers.
That is correct.
And 19 is,
That's going to be probably that last 2.6 million for the drawdown. So however, we get our invoices to pay that, then we'll get that back.
I couldn't quite hear you. What I'm trying to get at is it going to be the 2.6 million or less, or is there a chance it could be more when all the invoices are in?
So the last time we did a true-up, it looked like 268,000. That's going to be over the 40 million.
Okay,
So
that's
it's gonna
what
be
I
a
was
little
getting
over.
at. Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, thank you. This was just an update. So we'll move on to the action agenda. And we have a couple different boards appointments, and I'm going to turn it over to Eva.
So yes, Mayor, I did a review on our boards. We need some reappointments done. We've had 2 interested parties for the LUPRAC, the regional utility, Mr. Harris and, I just lost my mind. And
Mr.
Gary
Freeman.
Freeman. There was one added at the end for the LPA. Mr. Sevilla, Joey, he doesn't qualify to be on the LPA board, so we're withdrawing that. So, and if the town attorney wants to add anything, we ask for a little legal review, but I think we're good of where we're at.
I'll just clarify, ineligibility is a lot of these boards, there's qualifications, just like for town council members, and they have to be a town resident or an owner of property residing within the regional utilities. So when people submit, we have to do a check to see if they qualify, and in this case, he did not.
And just to add, so we have an open seat on the LPA board. If Mr. Freeman goes to the LUPRAC board, we can re-advertise. I advertised for 30 days on the website and the Nextdoor app, and we also did on Facebook.
With the Utilities Commission has been operating with 5 people, I think, since its inception.
So the 2 additional seats is a 7-person board, and they've been, for as long as I've been here, had the 5. We've never been able to fill the other 2.
Right, but, okay, and I think I was on it since day one, and it's always been, I think, 5 people. What I'm getting at is that there is no rush to fill the other 2 seats. Maybe it'd be better if Gary stayed on LPA just for a little while longer, because at the last meeting, there was barely a quorum. So I would suggest we do not move him over to utilities right now until you can find a replacement.
Is there anything that prevents him from being on both boards?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. Is that something you'd be of interest? No, you. Well, that answers that. And he's termed out on that one, I believe.
Yes.
That's the.
Oh, can we do an exception? And the other thing that bothers me is that I know you're trying to true up all the assignments, but I don't know if the existing Utilities Commission was even told this was being advertised.
They were,
They were.
They were?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've reached out to every board member and every member of both boards
Okay.
individually.
Okay.
Have you got a question for me now? I'm here. This is Gary
I
Freeman.
think I withdraw my question because your term limited out on the LPA.
Well, I can stay on the LPA, that's not, but I think, from my experience, is in utilities.
Right.
I have 40 years in utilities. So that was the original board I wanted to go on to, but it didn't happen.
And I think you can provide, I personally think you can provide a lot of value after reading your background in wastewater and water.
So,
But then we have a dilemma because the LPA is very short.
Well, the LPA, on the LPA, just a minute, I lost my place here. Can we not bring Alejandro Ramos up to a full member on the LPA?
So LPA right now is a 5-member board with 3 alternates. Mr. Edgman is no longer, he hasn't been in attendance, so by Alex moving to fill Jack Edgman's seat, that gives you, if Gary stayed on, that'd be your 5 full board with 3 alternates still open. So if you
So
move
we
that
have-
back to an alternate, you still are gonna be short.
On the,
Because,
on the LPA, we have Dustin Woods, Donald Clark, James Oxer, and if we bring Alejandro Ramos to a full member, that's 2, 3, that's 4.
that's 4.
And then we would put out, a
We could
request for a
advertise for
full
the 5th
member.
seat, yes.
And then we also need 3 alternates on that board as well.
You can have the alternates. We've had 2 alternates.
Okay.
When I first came on board, we had no alternates, and then later on down the road, there was an interest to have a couple of
Right.
alternates. They
Okay.
do come, in play when board members can't attend, and that's happened before, and we were
Sure.
able to always maintain a quorum with those
Right.
alternates.
But I'm thinking that, I agree with you, Mayor, that Mr. Freeman's experiences in utilities, and we definitely need utilities right now. So I would be more inclined to ask him to serve on utilities along with Bert Harris, and that would bring us to Matt Elliott, John Draper, Tal Rancourt, Pam Brewer, Jack Comley, Bert Harris, and Gary Freeman. And if that would at least give us 1 full board there, am I correct?
Yes.
That would be my recommendation.
Second.
I guess that was a motion. Second? Okay.
Okay, so we'll take these one committee at a time. For the Utilities Committee, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments from the podium?
Is this just a motion and a second to accept them or to appoint? 'cause
To appoint them.
I mean, to appoint them. And then we'll have another motion as far as choosing chair and vice chair?
Yes.
Okay.
Out to the audience. Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. And so then the second item is the council appointing the chairman and the vice chairman for the Utilities Commission.
Councilman Eberhardt, is this the commission that you are our liaison to? What would be your recommendation for that?
Okay. Again, I've been on that thing since inception. I don't know how many years, 10 years or whatever. I think what bothers me, now, I know according to the code, the chairperson and the vice chair are appointed by council. On the other hand, LPA decides among themselves who is going to chair. We decide among ourselves who is going to be vice mayor. I know it's in the code, but I would like to have some input from the existing members of the Utilities Commission on their opinion as who should be chair and vice chair. Before we go ahead, there's no rush to settle it tonight.
I would like to have that decision so that the next meeting of the Utilities Commission, they know who the chair is, so.
Well, I propose that we would just stay with the existing chair for another month or two until we can get their input.
And who is the existing chair?
Matt Elliott, he's been, I think, 3 years now, maybe?
Yes, yes.
And vice chair?
There is none.
No.
When I spoke to Matt the other day, I sounded like he wanted to step down out of the chair but still stay on to the commission. So what would prevent us from just making that decision tonight? Is a concern that it's been done a different way in the past?
Well,
and-
it was, I don't know how it ever got to, I think we decided among ourselves who was going to be the chair.
So, yeah, when I came on in 2013, it was already established John Draper was and I don't know how that came about.
Yeah.
But when Mr. Elliott became, I think it was done by the
Just-
commission themselves.
Yeah,
It didn't come before council to make him chair.
Yeah, among ourselves
So
we
I think
decided.
it was, yeah.
And so I think I would, speaking personally without input from the commission, the commission is set up so that, let me read the words. When it was set up, the commissioner should have expertise in utilities, engineering, and finance, and then planning and development secondary. So if you're going to decide on somebody, my opinion is to keep Matt in there for now, twist his arm, and then have somebody else. Bert, you're the new kid on the block at the commission. You have not been to any of the meetings, and your expertise is not in engineering or utilities. So although you know a lot by osmosis, my opinion would be to have Matt Elliott remain the chair and then choose a vice chair from someone with utilities experience. And then,
Was that a question to me?
no, this was to tell you my reasoning, that why you asked for my opinion, I'm giving it.
Thank you.
Not yet,
Because
please. We're still having conversation on the dais.
Because I'm unfamiliar, does Matt Elliott have experience in utilities as well?
No, he's real estate, which would fit into maybe planning, but,
Yeah,
so then I would say the vice chair would either be John Draper or Gary, and Pam Brewer. Pam Brewer has utilities experience,
Right.
a lot of experience.
Right, that's what I was thinking, because I know Matt Elliott, he's one of my late husband's cousins, but they all are. But I knew he was in real estate, so I don't know how he ended up being chairperson if he doesn't have that experience. But I'm like you, I would lead toward John Draper or Pam Brewer or Gary Freeman, simply because they've, have that experience. And I would then go back to either John Draper or Pam Brewer, simply because they've been on the commission. I mean, Mr. Freeman is now being appointed to the role, and he was in it before, but from 2014 to now is 12 years. And I don't quite know what Mr. Freeman's been up to in the last 12 years, and it's not really any of my business, but it doesn't appear that it was in utilities, so I don't know.
Well, he was a utilities director, so.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, I read that. Yeah.
So is there a motion?
I want to make sure I understand Ms. Eberhardt's. I think Ms. Eberhardt is saying, let the newly constituted Regional Utility Board meet. Let them come back to us with a recommendation that they think the chair should be Mr. Smith or Ms. Jones. We can take that or leave that, but at least let them have a say.
I second that.
I perceive the mayor's position as let's get on to work and
That's
get going.
exactly, let's get going.
And I will say that for me, we're going to ask these folks to do a lot of things. And it's really a function of not whether or not he or she has technical utility experience as to who is going to lead that group forward, get some stuff done, and bring back recommendations to us, because I want to make sure the Utility Advisory Commission, they are nothing but an advisory body that comes back to us with recommendations. And conversely, we should be advising them of policy directions that we want them to operate within, and they should be coming back with more specifics from those broader policy guidelines we're providing them, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm happy to either appoint a chairman tonight, or I'm happy to come back in 30 days after they've met, but we shouldn't wait more than another month at the most so we can get them moving, is my opinion.
I don't think I want to appoint somebody tonight who isn't in the room, because, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, I missed a meeting and now I'm chairman. I don't want to do that. I've done that. And so I would agree with Councilman Royce that let's let it go one more month and let the committee decide. We also have the challenge of a council member as a non-voting liaison and a council member as an alternate non-voting liaison. So on that note, are you, Ms. Eberhardt, are you our current council liaison? Would you continue in that role? I think that's a good idea. An
So
alternate
can we back
non-voting?
up to Mr. Royce? Was that a motion or question? Because
was
then
just- I just
later
want-
you said
It was
this
just a-
or
I
that.
just wanted to make sure I
So I just want to
understood
bring
what
it back
everyone's-
to, do we have a motion on the table right now?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
we don't. We're just
Could be-
discussing.
We have a second, but we didn't have a motion. That's
No,
where-
no, I think I just had a second thing to say.
So-
No, I
so-
wasn't second.
I guess regarding the chair and the vice chair, before we move on to the others, is there a motion?
Unless you want to make a motion to hold on it for 30 days, not to exceed 30 days.
Do you want to reiterate what you said that I said?
Madam Mayor, is the Utility Commission, I perceive they have not been meeting regularly, or
They
I've been
have.
told that.
They have been.
Are they scheduled to meet in the next several weeks?
They always, unless canceled for whatever, it's every month, the first
Second. Yeah, First
Tuesday.
Monday.
First
Tuesday.
First Tuesday, I'm
At
sorry, first
1:30.
Tuesday.
I'll make a motion that we will select the chair of that commission at the first meeting in August, and that we encourage the Utility Commission to meet prior to then and see whether or not they would like to offer a recommendation.
Very good. Second.
Now we have a motion and a second. Any more conversation from the dais? Out to the audience?
I'm getting an odd look from the attorney.
Oh, now, well, that's a comment from the dais.
I'm sorry about that. There is a joint meeting, non-action item, Thursday at 2 p.m., where maybe council and the commission could discuss this and at least get where you're going to go, because we do have a lot of work to do with that.
And
Okay, I'll
bring
tell you
it to
what, I'm going
next
to withdraw
Monday's
my
meeting.
motion because we're going to have a workshop on Thursday.
Correct. At 2
No
p.m.
action taken, but we are then going to meet next Monday night in our capacity as council. So I would make, can I withdraw my motion, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
And if the second
amend
withdraws,
it.
I'll go ahead and make a new motion. I'll make a motion that this be an item on the workshop agenda, and that we will appoint the next chair of the Utility Commission on July the 20th, at our meeting on July the 20th.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Durham.
we have an amended motion and a second. Any other comments from the dais? Okay, now out to the audience. State your name and address for the record,
Pam
please.
Pinterest, 12373 Lost Lake Drive, Lake Placid. I attend the Utilities Commission meetings and have so for years. They were presented, Bert Harris's and Gary Freeman's names into the committee. I read the packet last Thursday or Friday for this meeting. I contacted some of the utilities committees and members and told them that they were going to be discussing the chair and the vice chair. Nobody knew anything about it. Matt's going to be out of town this Thursday. He had medical tests being run. He said, well, if they're going to boot me off, I'd still like to be vice chair then. So how that happened and how Matt became chairman, because John Draper was the chairman, John came to a meeting and said, hey guys, I'm tired of being the chair. Anybody else want to be chair? And people looked around each other. And then somebody said, hey Matt, would you be chair? And Matt said, sure. That's how Matt Elliott became the chair. I think it's very concerning if you're going to appoint a chair and vice chair without having input from the committee. I know you originally, that was your motion, and then we said something about this Thursday is a joint meeting. I think if the LUPRAC goes in with a joint meeting and they're blindsided and it's a workshop, so y'all can't make any official decision that night, correct?
No, it'll come back to next Monday's meeting is what the motion was.
But that's on the July the 16th.
Thursday. This
Thursday is the 16th, but it's a workshop, so y'all can't vote on that, correct?
And the plan wasn't, the motion is to have the recommendation come out of this Thursday's meeting for decision at the July 20th, next Monday's town council meeting.
Right. I know that Matt won't be in attendance on the 16th. I don't know about the other committee members. But I would say still it need to be, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to wait for you had Gary, Bert, and the people that are currently on the board to be able to discuss it and vote amongst themselves, or at least make a recommendation to this council who should be chair and vice chair. Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Thank you. Okay, bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Now it's a matter of the 16th or versus the 1st of the month. I'm going back, and with Matt not being here on the 16th, I'm going to vote no, only because to revert back to the original motion that we let the regularly scheduled Utilities Commission meet. And then the next week is the town council meeting. It's only a matter of 10 days difference? So I'm going to have to say no and ask to revert to the original motion.
And Councilmember Hayes?
You're killing me. You're killing me. I'm going to say yes, simply because I think the state of affairs of our utilities is critical, and we need to move forward as soon as possible. I also think if we get a recommendation from the board, then we don't have to take the recommendation, but we can at least listen to that recommendation. And if we go to this meeting on Thursday and the utilities board is not significantly represented, then we don't have to take this up on the 20th. We can turn around and wait. But if I say yes now, it gives us that opportunity to go either way.
Motion passes. And then the next item was the liaison. You wanted to, you had some questions on the liaison, that town council liaison for that committee?
Well, I was going to say that I've been really pleased that Councilwoman Eberhardt has been on this committee because she has expertise in that regard, and I would suggest that Council Member Sapp would be a good alternate because of his
he's not
experience
here.
in that as well, and he's not here. So too bad, you're on vacation, you missed. No, I mean he has. That's his business. So I think if we have Councilmember Eberhardt and Councilmember Sapp on there as the non-voting liaison and an alternate. I think we have the best of both worlds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Mr. Sapp, do you want to comment? Sorry. Out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Yes.
Motion passes. On to the LPA. Are we?
Madam Mayor, if we need to take action in order to move Mr. Alex up to being a full member, I'll make a motion that we move Alex Ramos up to become a full member of the Lake Placid Planning Agency Board of Adjustment.
And also reappoint the others. We need to reappoint Ms. Dustin.
Oh, I'm sorry, and reappoint the existing members of Dustin Woods, you're moving the screen on me,
Here. Cheat.
Donald Clark, James Oxer.
I just had a question. Did you say that Joey Acevedo was not eligible?
Not eligible.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'd second that then.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any comments from the dais? Out to the audience.
Margaret Deer, 1504 French Street. What I have to say isn't necessarily about the LPA. Is there a plan to kind of make all of these commissions standard and give them some teeth and how the chair and who's going to be on it? Because we got some slim pickings for some important business. Do you live in the LPRP, but you can't get in the LPRP, but you live in 33852, but you don't own a business, but you do own a business? I mean, it is so incredibly confusing. It's no wonder people aren't just beating down the door to serve on these commissions. Is there a plan to figure this out, to move us forward so that everybody knows how to serve, when to serve, who serves, who fits, who doesn't? That's a question.
I'll take that question with an answer. Even I just had this discussion, and one of the things that we're going to do is a standard form with exactly the questions that you need to check that will support the requirements for each of these commissions, because each commission does have a different type of eligibility.
So, but that's my question. Is that eligibility isn't necessarily expertise? The eligibility all has to do with where you live, correct? Or if you own a business or you don't own a business. I mean, there's a difference between eligibility and willingness to serve, because we've got people who determines what the eligibility is. It just feels like it's been the same people over and over, and as long as you always do what you always did, you're always going to get what you always got. And there's a lot of people that would be willing to serve that can't. Now, my friend Pam Fentress, she probably in the LPRP, or no, you're not. No, y'all are probably, that's probably by design, because she can't serve, and guess what? Neither can I. And maybe that's the way everybody wants it. But I thought that in trying to move Lake Placid forward, the goal was to get more people involved in government and moving us forward, and that's just my own 2 cents. Thank you for listening.
May I ask the attorney? I think all of these requirements are in our code, and the code would have to be changed in order to...
Sure, we could explore changing the code, but each board has its own authority, and you take the LPA and the BOA, those individuals need to have a more interest within the geographical areas of the town. You take the utility commission, because it stretches outside the geographical boundaries, you've actually expanded membership for that. But certainly we could look at the code and look at the statutes to see where we are on that and try to get it as uniform as possible. But I do think a qualifications list, as the mayor's proposed, when it goes out would be helpful, because we have a lot of talented people that I think would be interested in serving.
Not like there's not enough to do, but we're limiting our resources, or possibly limiting our resources of having a lot of good people.
And I would just like to take a little a little objection to the fact that we have slim pickings, because I don't think we have slim pickings. I think if you look at who's on this board, you have Dustin Woods, Donald Clark. Dustin Woods has been a member of our community for a long, long time, is a well-respected pastor. I don't think that's slim pickings. No, I know what you're saying, but I think it just may be taken incorrectly. I know you didn't mean it that way, Margaret, but I think
you misunderstood. You don't have people beating down the door to serve.
No, we
That's what
don't,
I'm
but
saying.
I think we have qualified
You
people
have
in
wonderful
place.
people existing, wonderful people serving. That was no reflection on the people currently in
Okay,
place. And I cannot imagine that could have been misinterpreted that way. There are fantastic people serving, but
Okay.
you're wearing them out.
Okay, well, I'd rather have fantastic people serving than try to have our quality go down. So,
I think what I heard was for the LPA, we still have one open spot and 3 alternates.
That is correct.
And so when we went out and advertised, we ended up having one person, we found they're ineligible. So it's trying to relook at the eligibility to be able to get a larger population versus the people that are on there. So definitely something we'd have to look at, and if there was some changes in eligibility, then we'd need to change some codes. We'd have to have an ordinance. But
I think that's a discussion for another day.
exactly. So there needs to be a second motion to direct staff to go back out to advertise for the remaining open LPA seats.
We're going to do a roll call on that vote.
We already have
The
one.
appointment vote, and then we can go on to another
Okay.
vote to go out to advertise.
So any other comments on the motion? Okay, bring it back. Eva, take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes?
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we direct staff to pursue all avenues possible to advertise and publicize the process for LPA applicants.
Second?
I look forward to a well-written article by the Lake Placid Insider explaining exactly why, if you're a town resident or interested citizen of the area, you should raise your hand. If you can solve the car wash deal, you can solve this.
Can I second that before we get further in the weeds? Thank you.
We have a motion, we
Somebody.
have a second.
Good.
Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience. Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes?
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes. The next one is the CRA board. And Eva, are you taking that one, or? It's membership on the CRA board.
So Mr. LeBlanc and Mr. Hartzell have asked to not be on the board at this time. Those are the 2 additional seats for community members. The rest is a full board of the council. So that's where you sit. And then I think it's a 2-year and a 4-year term that was determined by council. So I guess, do we want to go out to fill those other 2 seats? Advertise, I guess, would be the question.
Well, I have a question on that. We operated for a long time with just the council as the CRA, and then we decided a year or so ago that it would be good to go ahead and fill those other positions because we wanted more input. Just like Ms. Deere said, we need this input. Well, this kind of backfired because both of these people are the 2 that I recommended, so I'm not going to recommend again, but my question is, do we want to continue right now with filling these 2 positions? We have so much on our plate at this moment, or do we want to just go ahead and forward with the 5 members that we have, the 4 members, the council people that we have, and the mayor, and just go forward with that at this point, and at least get us through the budget process and maybe into the fiscal year a little bit before we go ahead and advertise for some more positions. And also, we've got this 2-year and 4-year term And then there's this recommendation that they all come in for 4-year terms until somebody backs off, and then I don't think that's a good idea either. And if somebody's going to come and put in for a term, they should know whether it's a 2-year term or a 4-year term, and that might make a decision in their part. But I think at this point, I would suggest that we just go with the 4 council people and the mayor, as we have.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion, yes, ma'am.
I'm just hesitant because I'm sensitive to the fact that Ms. Eberhardt and Mr. Charles, I perceive this was one of your initiatives to add people to the CRA board. And while I agree with Ms. Hayes, I don't want to, I know this is something that you all felt strongly about.
Well, it wasn't, I think it was my initiative, because I wanted to have the business people have input into what is being done in the CRA district.
And I did too, and that's why I suggested those 2 people. But that didn't turn out well. Maybe we have the wrong 2 people. And I still agree I think we do need the input of the business people, but I think right at this point, we need to take a breath. And that's just why I made that motion.
I don't see how it can hurt us to move forward rather than putting things off and putting things off. And
To Ms., if I might, Madam Mayor, to Ms. Hayes' point, I'm assuming if we took no real action on Ms. Hayes' motion, then we would start a process of advertising, saying, hey, if you're interested in being on the CRA, apply. All of that's going to take several months anyways, I assume, to work through the process. My concern about having other people is that the CRA budget is part of it, in a way, has to be in tune with the town budget, and we have to see the bigger, broader picture of how we utilize the CRA revenues correctly and properly, and how it enhances or detracts from the general fund town budget. So I agree with Ms. Hayes in principle, if nothing else, to get through this budget cycle, which is, again, 60 or 90 days, the reality, that we should not start someone brand new now. So if we're going to start some new people, then it would really should be September or after October 1. But if you all want to have additional people, then let's just start the advertising process and let people express an interest. That's fine with me.
We could start the process and just have no action taken until the new fiscal year, October 1. That way we kind of get the best of both worlds.
so if you amend your motion that we go out for the process and hold the appointments until after?
Yes. Yes, so I will amend my motion to say that we will continue with the current 5 members of the CRA at this point, and at this time we will put out request for anyone that would like to be a member, and we will look at these for the 2 open seats, but we will look at them only after the budgeting process is completed, and they would only take office after the new fiscal year being October 1st.
That's a big motion. Do you have that, Eva?
I know, is that too much words?
I got it.
Okay, you got that.
I got the gist.
Sorry, I got a little verbose there for a minute.
Yep, I got it.
And if I may, they have the motion up on the screen. It could be modified to direct staff to, open up, advertise for it, but then the last half with appointments to be made at a future meeting. Is that kind of what you're saying, is go ahead and advertise for the open seats? It's just the timing of when they would be discussed and approved.
And I would say yes, that would make it much more concise. And then, but I would say with appointments to be made after or after the fiscal year of October 1st of 2026. I don't want to leave it open-ended. I want to give a date, because otherwise we kind of fly in the nebulous.
Not before the October meeting? Would that
October
work?
meeting. Yes, ma'am, October meeting.
Did you second it? Okay. I second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Mr. Attorney?
I would, if I might, Madam Mayor, I think, again, in case someone was to write about it, again, this is a sunshine group, and I think, I don't know this, I haven't spoken to Mr. LeBlanc about it, but I assume part of the problem for someone like Mr. LeBlanc is he's now, advocating for things that maybe benefit a potential business. He can't talk to us in our role as council people because we're on the CRA together. And so I would just encourage people that are thinking they want to do it, just to make sure that they understand they're joining a sunshine body, and that it then negates their ability to talk to their fellow members about anything that may potentially come before them in the future. So I think that's just important for the public to keep in mind.
Fair. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
So the resignations of Mr. LeBlanc and Hartzell are effective immediately? They are not?
Verbally, yes, I spoke
Yeah.
to both of them.
They both of them? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So when we have our CRA meeting, which is next Monday, it will be just the five of
The
us?
five of you,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, moving on to C, release of recorded code enforcement lien. Town of Lake Placid versus 27 Northwest LLC, code enforcement case number 2021-00326, 4 and 16 Heartland Boulevard.
This is an item placed on the agenda. Basically, we have a property that has been amassing code enforcement fines. It's been discovered by our code enforcement officer that this was not properly noticed at the time it went to magistrate and the fines began to amass. What we're recommending is that we go with the motion from our current magistrate and go ahead and waive these fines.
Can you let me understand, where are these two properties?
These two properties are at the corner of Heartland Boulevard and US 27 to the north of Heartland National Bank, or where the Heartland National Bank was, between there and Boaters World,
Okay,
the empty lots.
okay.
Madam Mayor, so because we didn't procedurally do something correct or
Correct.
accurately, we need to waive these fines, and then if in fact there is still a potential violation, then the process could begin anew.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais?
I just have a question. Does whatever this was cited for, does that condition still exist?
No, it's been corrected.
It has been corrected?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to D, the Lake June Park Pickleball Project, the bid documents.
All right, can everybody hear me okay?
Oh, there's Carol.
Yeah, Mike, can you hear me? Okay, all right. All right, so Kara Groves from the Town Attorney's Office. This evening, we are dealing with the bid documents, so the invitation to bid for the pickleball complex. I do have, I did provide an agenda item which gives some background here. I can jump into some of that, but I defer to council here. We have specific questions for the council to consider. and those are under the key topics for council discussion at the bottom of the first page of the agenda item. And it starts with the liquidated damages, so we can begin there, or if it's council's preference, I can give some background on some of these risk areas that are identified above that kind of go through some of the issues we've been dealing with. So I don't know where council would prefer I start. Just let me know if you want to go outside of the key topics for discussion.
And Eva, can you minimize her so we can see the charts too that she may go through?
I'm not driving.
Oh, who's got control there? I would just,
And then I would enlarge that a little, Mark. I'd enlarge that just a little bit, I guess.
I think on this one is, I'll go ahead and tee it up and then we can go from there. So we directed at the last meeting to ask the town attorney, could he do the bid documents? Because Kimley Horn was going to charge us $6,000, $7,000. So Mike and Kara have been working on this. They've got the big binder from Eva. They've gone through it. Dana's provided a lot of assistance. And as they went through this, one thought was, we'll just put the bid out there and let's go from there. That's what we were directed. But with timing, with costs, and with a lot of other things, there's a lot of risk associated with making a decision to just go out to bid. So what they've done is they've tried to summarize what a lot of the risks are going to be. And if, council makes a decision, these are risks we're willing to take on, then the bid will be published, and we'll talk through the timeline and some of the other things. So that's kind of why are we back here? We directed them to just put a bid out there. Well, there's a lot of new information that has been pulled together that we think it's important for council to know and then allow us to make an informed decision. So, Kara, why don't you kind of go through? So in the packet was a draft RFP, or invitation to bid, right, ITB. And I guess kind of take us through where a lot of the risk areas are. And I guess it's always going to start with funding, right?
Yes, yeah. So we'll start with some of those risk area backgrounds and then go into those specific questions. So one of the biggest risk areas to be aware of is this compressed bid window. So if you are looking at the agenda item, this is the first bullet point underneath risk area background. So right now we have terms with the two grants that we're receiving. We have the FERDAP grant and we have the RPAC grant. So the FERDAP grant, the project completion date is April 2027, and then for RPAC, it's February 2027. Now we are working towards, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but we are working towards trying to get those agreements to end at the same time for consistency, efficiency, all of that. But for right now, that's where it is. And so part of what we're trying to do is we have a compressed window of time to get these things done. So ideally, if council approves tonight, we would actually send this out for official bid tomorrow. And then as per the dates in the draft bid, we have the final submission date as August 11th. So an exact 4-week period of time. And then we do also have a couple of other deadlines in there, deadlines to submit questions, things like that. But the reason for that 4-week bid window is because what we want to do after the 11th of August is to then turn it around to staff and a committee, whatever the council decides, to review, tabulate, and vet bids. I believe there's a plan to get a tabulation sheet in order. And so that leaves, very little room for irregularities, but ideally we would have at that next meeting, which I believe is August 24th. So that next week, basically 6-day turnaround to approve. And you would have all of those sheets in front of you. But that's the reason that that's so tight, because then it gives approximately 5 months or so for the bidder to complete their project as we have it written right now. We didn't want to give them a completion date of the term ending dates of the agreements. We wanted to give them a little bit of leeway. So right now, their substantial completion date is January 31st, 2027. So it's only a 5-month scope there. So that's number one. And that will be a topic of discussion. The council can change that, but that just kind of gives you a background of why we have it that way. And then our next one on here is the open RPAC negotiation. So part of, like I just said, there's an issue of the term, so we definitely want to make sure that that is more consistent. But another big issue is there were some items that were in the RPAC agreement that didn't end up in the conceptual site plan that we have attached to the bid. And so that's a fancy way of saying, you know, there's some things that were in the RPAC bid, which included, I believe, some paving and some different drainage requirements that as of right now, based on the compressed bid window and the dollar caps that we have on this project, probably not going to be met. And so part of the conversation we had today with RPAC, with the Highlands County attorney, was to go through some of these items and hopefully get approval from them. We are going to appear in front of the RPAC Commission on the 21st of July and hopefully get an amendment to that agreement that allows us to lower some of these requirements, which I can go through in more detail later. But basically, we think some of our bids are going to tell us some of the things that they cannot meet based on the bid cap that we have in place here. And so that's our next point is we have a not to exceed bid cap threshold. And so what that means here is because we have certain grant dollars in place, we've got $200,000 from FERDAP, and then we matched at $200K, and then RPAC now separately has a $299,274 bid or a grant for their RPAC agreement. And so what that means is technically we had about $699,274 in dollars, and some of that has been spent already. And so we did run the numbers, which is another topic of discussion for this next section, but it seems like as of right now, we've spent about $86,000 or so, and the exact number is about $608,000 left for a potential bidder to do this entire project. And that, again, it's based off of that's all the money we have earmarked. And this is the, you know, in our legal mindset for this not to exceed bid cap, we cannot have them go beyond that. And so we have, it's not always in a bid, but we have it here. So we'll address that a little bit later because that could be something that is moved around, but we've done crunched the numbers, and we believe that 608 figure is probably going to be the max that they can spend for the whole project. And then the last piece of it, which is our first topic for the council discussion, that's the loss of grant funds and liquidated damages. So from FERDAP's perspective, typically, if you do not meet that project completion deadline, it's you get none of the money. Now, we have had more recent conversations with FERDAP that suggest otherwise, which is great news, but we do want to operate, you know, more risk averse in this type of scenario. So as of right now, we're treating it as though if we do not get it completed on time, we lose that money. And we're also dealing with RPAC and treating that the same way. Again, that could change, but for the town's purposes and ensuring risk for the town, we kept the liquidated damages, which this should have been changed, but it should be exactly $499,274, which is a large amount for a liquidated damages provision. It's usually, you know, some dollar amount per day, but we do believe that reflects the actual damages to the town if they do not complete it on time. And certainly we want to incentivize timely completion. So that's part of that issue there. So that's the background. I don't know if we have any questions yet, or you want me to jump into the, you know, topics for discussion and deciding whether you want to move forward.
Madam Mayor, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Ms. Groves, Ray Royce, did I understand you to say you had a conversation about this with Sherry Sepfin?
Yes, we had one today, correct. And
Okay, and I'm going to be interested, obviously, in hearing what Sherry said. I guess my point is, I would advise us not to spend too much time going back to RPAC. This is an issue that, this is Ms. Sutphin, Ms. Herner, Mr. Gunn. I mean, this is, RPAC as an advisory commission, they've made, we should not waste weeks or months going back there. This is now in the hands of the county commission, the town, the administrator, and probably equally important, the county attorney. And so I'm kind of interested to hear what Ms. Sutphin had to say.
Yes, sir. So I believe, and Mayor Charles can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I got from that conversation is at that July 21st meeting, so I guess 9 days from now, we are going to present, and we, the town attorneys, are going to present on the town's behalf, indicate to the commission, I believe. I don't know that I don't think we're going to RPAC and then have to do another hearing, because we did specifically say to Sherry that this is on a time frame. It's already going to be out to bid, and we're receiving bids back by August 11th. So I believe the intention is going to be show up at that on the 21st, get them to approve, and then that gives Sherry the automatic right, like the motion essentially would be Sherry can go and negotiate and do an amendment, and that's what we sign. So as long as we can at this 21st meeting, my intention is to get all these questions out there, ensure they're answered, get them on the motion, and then that way, to your point, we're not having to go back and forth on this beyond the bid deadline, because we really can't do that. So that's what I understand from that meeting. I don't know if Mayor Charles, you have a different interpretation, or Mike.
So they asked me at the last minute, I jumped on that. It was a meet me line, and not just Sherry, but Brandon Gunn was also included in that. And we explained to them with what are like two areas of help. One is the timing of RPAC has to be completed February 4th. The timing of FERDAP is April 30th. So we wanted to get those two dates more in line. Would RPAC have flexibility? And you're right, we backed off of, it's not an RPAC decision, it's a Highland County Commissioner's decision because of the agreement that's been signed. They felt that that was very reasonable, and that was something that could be adjusted. The second thing was, okay, about the funding, because we've adjusted what we've submitted to them. We've basically peeled back parking and paving and boat ramp area, and even on the pickleball courts, cabana, windscreens, and some fencing. So we've basically reduced a lot of the elements in the original submission. Do we need to do a revision for that? Kind of explained. And that's where she said that yes, and that she would help, like, put it on the agenda, and we have to get them the information tomorrow to make it to the 21st County Commissioners meeting. With that, I tried to feel them out. Okay, do you feel that there is a appetite for not just approving our amendment, but because we've pulled things out, is there going to be a thinking that we're also going to get reduced funding than the $299,274? And we didn't get a definitive on that. That was kind of, that's not up to us, that's up to the county commissioners. So that's where it was like, okay, they understood that we've got a scope change here. A fundamental change, because we asked for more money, and now we're using that money for the courts, not for the additional work projects that we were going to do.
Okay, and I apologize. I thought when someone mentioned the 21st, you were talking about going to an RPAC meeting. You're talking about going to a county commission meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
good
next
deal.
county commissioner meeting is on the 21st.
Right, okay.
And we need to rush to get some things together tomorrow, and they'll get that on the agenda for that decision to be made on the revision to the RPAC grant.
So, I read through the list a couple of times, and if you're just looking for some consensus, I think we need to go to the county commission. We need to tell them we need to have them continue with the full award. We need to move forward. We need to have the completion date move back to match the FERDAP date. If we want to have a $400,000 liquidated damages figure, that's fine by me. If we want to have a 630, 625 or 630 cap, again, that's fine by me. I mean, those are the main couple things, right?
Yeah, I think the cap, Kara mentioned some amounts, you should say like 85,000 has been spent to date, something like that. The other thing we have to keep in mind is one, the county's still requiring this transportation study. You know, one was done, and so there's another $4,500, $5,000 that we're going to have to pay out of pocket. That's going to take a few months. So the timing of this whole thing is where it's going to be the risk, right, of trying to get all of this done. So there's a transportation study, and then there has to be a final development order, takes another 30 days. Then they can apply for a building permit, which is going to be a couple weeks, $3,000. So there's more money than what we spent today that we're still going to have to invest.
And I thought we spent about 35,000. How did it get to 80,000?
No, the last chart was 63,000, and we've gone back and we've reconciled that, and then we've added the attorney fees on, that we've incurred a lot of attorney fees, and then we did an estimate
And
for
planner
staff
fees
time.
to add another transportation study.
Well,
Never mind.
that's what I'm saying is, so in addition to what we spent so far, we still are going to have another $4,500 transportation study and $3,000 in building permits and a time delay. That's what's probably the more concerning is to us is I want the money reimbursed, right? We do this project, it has to be completed. Even though it's April 30th, we need time to get all of our paperwork in, vendors paid, so that the reimbursement can get back to FERDAP before April 30th. The county's going to be a little more flexible, but the FERDAP, and they said it's a hard stop at April 30th. The same with the other grants. So if you back that up now to March 30th, assuming the county's going to, which we should, assuming they're going to, let the dates match, and you start laying all these things out, if we get it done by, bids back by this date, but then you have this transportation study that I'm told could take a couple more months. You've got a final development order that's with the county that the building department there takes another 30 days. Then the building permit can be 1 to 2 weeks, and this just came out this afternoon, and that's $3,000. So we still got to sink another almost $10,000 in. The construction is going to be around 600, 610 at the highest end in order to stay with the budget. I will say that it just was also discovered that we started pulling things out. We pulled out cabanas, we pulled out windscreens, we pulled out fencing. It's clear at one point in time that's going to come forward for a request that would be general fund paying for that. So that's of a concern to me as we scale back in order to do it now. Is that just something that's going to be later coming back to council? So there's just so much as we're getting into the details coming out, the compressed timeline, we don't want to lose our funding. The other thing we never talked about is ongoing maintenance costs for the lights. There's going to be 11 light poles. Today, we pay $1,000 a month for the ballpark lights, and those aren't on 7 days a week. So I would prefer that this council has accurate information in order to make a decision on what route we're going to take. The biggest concern is the compressed timeline right now to get something out to bid, get through these transportation study, building permits, final development order, and is that contractor even going to have enough time to get this completed?
So
And this will never get any better. And the reason we are where we are is because we spent 2, 3, or 4 years trying to get to this point because we had consternation, we had conflict, we had people not wanting us to go forward with this project, so they continued to put roadblocks in our way, and the last of which has been the transportation study. And I think that this has been a concerted effort to just put roadblocks in the way of this, in my opinion, very much needed amenity for our town, We're doing a lot of things for the children. That's wonderful. We need to do something for the senior population, of which we know that our county and our town is more seniors than they are kids. And we need to do this. And the reason we're in this compressed time frame, we put ourselves there, along with some other help from other agencies. But we put ourselves there. And I want to see if we can get out of it, and can we still build these pickleball courts? And I don't want to lose that $400,000 grant, because I know what everybody tells me, oh, it won't make a difference. I still believe it will.
Can I get back to the finances and the timing? Now, the $608,000 that's left, that takes into account the traffic study and everything else?
It does, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then, so what if the traffic study, let's say we're under construction, whatever, and the traffic study comes back and it says, oh, you gotta change some of your roadways or your this or that or whatever, and now we would incur additional costs. That's an unknown. So you don't have to, just put that back here. The next thing is the timing. If I read it right, the bidding starts July 14th, but the meeting with the county is July 21st. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So we have written into the bid, invitation to bid on that first page, I believe, an addenda deadline, which is August 6th. So that's actually will give us a little bit of time if we needed to amend. So for example, with the liquidated damages, as much as we don't want to amend huge substantive things right before people are submitting deadlines, at least with the liquidated damages and some of these other issues, we can, they'll be lowered and it'll be perhaps more favorable to our contractors. But yes, we would have time on August 6th to make any revisions, notify our bidders if the costs go down significantly.
So, okay, that's where I was going. So what if the commission comes back and says, because you took out so many things, we're not going to give you all the money we said we'd give you originally, and now your budget is half. Let's, instead of the 200 or the 299, let's say they cut it back to a total of 300,000. But and you can't amend that to the contractors, but in the meantime, the contractor has put time and effort into starting to bid, thinking it was 608,000.
Well, I don't think
Yes,
the county
ma'am.
will do that, because they understand that we've been trying to do this for 3 years and 5 years or 6 years, and the prices have gone up just like they did on the police station.
But-
And that's why we are where we are today. It's not going to get any better.
But the problem is, and I can see where the county might balk at doing it, I'm not worried about the timing thing, that's minor. But where they might get ruffled is that part of the justification for doing this was that we would pay by the boat ramp because it was a safety issue. And they are giving us money to do that. And if we don't do that now, are we reneging on the original intent of the agreement? And they may cut money out of what they promised us.
So Madam Mayor, my question is Mr. Durham. If we put out a bid document, and we solicit bids, and we get bids in, are we under any legal obligation to accept any bids or take action, or are we just in receipt of their proposals?
We would draft the bid so you could reject all bids.
I'm sorry, what?
We would draft the bid documents so you could reject all bids, that you wouldn't
Okay.
have to move forward.
I guess my point is, I understand Ms. Eberhardt's points, but if anything changes between now and August 11th or whenever, in funding goes away, traffic studies, we can't mitigate that situation, it looks, we get bids that are well in excess of $600,000 or $625,000. We say, okay, we tried, we move on. And I guess I'm in that camp of, let's put together the best set of bid documents we can in the next several days. We move forward with soliciting the bids. Two things are going to happen simultaneously. People are going to be putting together potentially bids at or below $600,000 range, give or take. And the county's going to be working with us on some stuff. I think we ought to continue to ask them, why the heck the old transportation study? I mean, is that something they can waive, they can accept Nothing's changed as far as those numbers. Alls we've done is decrease the amount of traffic. I don't know, but we might need to push back on the county some.
On the actual traffic study, the traffic study we had done was done Monday through Friday. We did not include weekends on that, and this requires the weekend study as well. That's why the new traffic study needs to be accomplished. They have to bring it back and do an actual weekend traffic study.
So who did the town pay to do the initial traffic study?
It was, if I'm not mistaken, the county.
What?
Kimley Horn. I'm sorry, Kimley Horn.
I mean, to be frank, why the hell did they do it wrong then?
I asked that question.
I mean, to me, that's the kind of thing that Kimley Horn, who just makes a pile of damn money on our backs, that should be something they rectify because that's their screw up.
They failed.
And who asked for the traffic study and didn't put the right parameters on it?
Our county is asking for the traffic study.
So the county didn't put the right parameters on it that said it had to be a
I'm not
Monday
sure
through
what
Sunday.
parameters they were given to begin with. I was not in this position at that time. I was not privy to that.
Dana, do you have any information on that? That was, I think, Charlotte.
Unfortunately, I really don't have much information on what happened in the methodology. The only thing I can imagine is that maybe they move forward without a methodology meeting with the county, which would be highly frowned upon. This is something that I'd be happy to look into, but because the traffic study's placed on hold until after the bid process, I've not moved forward on that at all. But if the council would direct me or like me to work with the county to better understand what's going on here, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, Madam Mayor, if I could go back to my original point, I think we need to be moving on the one last attempt to Ms. Hayes' point to get it across the finish line. And I know there's people that would like to see it die right here and now, but we move forward with this. We don't spend any, other than a little bit of legal money, significantly any more money. And at the same time the bid process is going on, who knows, we might not even have any bidders. They may look at it and say, no way, I don't want to get in bed with those folks, So, but I think we move forward, and these other issues we track and try to deal with on a parallel timeline, my perspective.
The only thing I'm going to add for that, if we want to make it in the time frame that we have left, we would have to move forward with that traffic study now. That 2-month period for permitting we have to have before construction can even begin. Am I correct on that?
Well, I'm happy to ask the mayor to call Kimley Horn tomorrow and say, what the heck?
I'll do that.
Because
I just want to make sure that we are 100% upfront with this to even have a chance to meet that time frame, and that is a very slim chance you would have to move forward with that. There is no wiggle room here. We have to move forward. There can be no delays or we will not meet the time frame.
I understand.
Okay,
That's
so
why
I want to make sure that's understood.
simultaneously.
Yep.
And I think our message to Kimley Horn ought to be, this is your issue, this is your problem.
I paid you
And-
$8,000 already. Why do I need to pay you another
Yeah,
$4,500?
they need to
And-
get it done.
I'll do
And tell
that.
them of the short time frame. I mean, you've got to fix this
Got
now.
it.
I think it might also benefit, Dana Riddell, Town Planner. I think even before having that conversation with Kimley Horn, there might need to be a conversation with the county. And I think there could be some wiggle room based on recent events that have happened with the county to revisit their comments. Just a thought.
Okay. Dana, do you have a copy of the results? No, you don't. So Chief, we need to try to find, I'd like to be able to find the results coming back from the transportation study so we can have that intelligent conversation with Kimley Horn.
I will look through all the
Okay.
documentation I can find.
Thank you.
I perceive anyways, Madam Mayor, that there's at least two of us up here that want to move forward on this. And so if from Mr. Durham and Ms. Groves' standpoint, they need answers to a couple of questions so they can finalize the documents, then let's make sure we give them those answers so that we can move forward on parallel tracks. I understand there are things that could derail this. And if it's legitimate stuff derails it, it derails it. But if there are 2 or 3 of these key topics for liquidated damages, not to exceed big caps, let's make some determinations and let them finalize these documents in the next several days.
And we can do that. Is there, Kara, anything here specific for council? Or I can work with you over the next couple days on the quickly changes here that are needed after we find out from Kimley Horn. I don't
Yeah,
think
there are just,
it
go
was
ahead.
more awareness, there's a risk, but is there anything specific decisions you need from council on anything within this RFQ? What do you call it? Invitation to bid?
So I think, and I'll go as quickly but as concisely as possible. So liquidated damages, if the council is in agreement, right now, we have it as the full amount of the two grant agreements. So $499,274, with the backup in mind that once we have this conversation with the commission in Highlands County on the 21st, that number may go down and we can amend that within our bid documents and notify the bidders up until August 6th. So that would be the first comment. I think it sounds like we're okay with that based off of, we don't really know if the dollars are going to be reduced, but once we do, we can certainly amend that. So that would be the first one. And then the second one is the cap. So I think we were in agreement as well that the cap will be $608,000, which does take into account the $86,773.68 in cost and this potential $4,500, which if that gets taken away, great. But at least we won't have any bids over that worst case scenario number, 608. And then the last two, or the last three, so that substantial completion deadline we have is January 31st, 2027. I think we keep it at that for now because we're waiting to see if RPAC will actually amend. So we'll, for right now, I think we keep that the way that it is. But if there is any objection, that is within the council's power to change that. And then the last two are bid security. And this is just a fancy, requirement. We do not have to require it of our bidders, but in the event that they do not timely complete the project, we do have the liquidated damages in there, but we'd still have to foreclose on the bond that they put up. They have to put up a bond equal to the contract amount, and that's costly to the town. So we have suggested that there's a $100,000 set aside held in escrow, so the town has the funds to retain bond counsel. Obviously, it's a non-issue, and they never have to really pay anything out of pocket if they do this timely. But it is $100,000 in cash or collateralized bond, and that can be expensive. So that's really the kind of the larger question mark. And then the last one is our contractor questionnaire, which we can look at. It's just questions to ask our bidders to see if they're qualified. We have a lot. It's on page 20 already. But if anybody had any, comments on additional questions they want us to ask our bidders, we can go through that. So with the first one, the liquidated damages, so our recommended motion would be to put the liquidated damages as $499,274. So that would be our first part of it, if there's any objection to that.
Again, Madam Mayor, the rationale there is that if they do not finish the project on time, and we are not, meaning the town is not reimbursed the $499, then it's on them.
Exactly.
I'm good with that.
It's in lieu of us getting the money from the state and the county, it comes from the contractors.
And if I may comment, realize when you get into those complexities, there's things called set-offs and things of that nature. So if the county or the state were to reimburse some monies, naturally the contractor would say, well, you were reimbursed, town, so we're going to take a set-off of what you were reimbursed. It's not a windfall that we get $500,000 plus the state county money. Okay, makes sense today, but I've had those questions asked before.
No, that only makes sense.
So if that, I guess, how do you want to proceed? Because these council gave us direction to prepare the best bid documents we could, get this on the street with Dana's help and Jeff's help and Kara especially. That's what we wanted to get back to council. If there's any amendments needed or you're okay with stuff, that's what we would want to hear tonight. Get it done, get the documents out, and then we need direction on a supplemental memorandum to go to the Board of County Commissioners, and then who's going to represent the town at that county commission meeting. County staff was very gracious today, very workable. Ms. Sufton, Brandon Gunn, so it was a good meeting, but they can't promise things that they don't have the authority to promise. And it's going to be some of those set-offs with some of the elements brought off. So with that in mind, we'd just like to take this logically through. What amendments do you want, if any, so we can get the bid documents
Okay,
out?
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, what I don't understand is, if I'm reading this right, it talks about key topics for council discussion, liquidated damages. Whoever authored this says, we do not recommend increasing to full project cost as this is typically struck under Florida law. So why are we going to $499 then if you have concerns about Florida law?
That's not the full cost of the project, is what we're thinking there. You don't want to overreach and have it stricken, so that's why we're staying under.
So you're saying what we then put at risk is our 200 grand?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I mean, I hope we just aren't, and I told Mr. Durham this, I mean, I just don't want to poison pill this thing to death, that we make it such an unattractive package that everyone says no. So, but if it looks like we got 2 on $499, fine. I'll wait and argue bid security here when we get to it. And I think that number, if we're going to do that, could be significantly lower. I can't imagine we'd spend $100,000 on bond counsel. So if someone says, let's put 20 or 25 grand there, then fine. But let's don't poison this thing up so deep that no one wants to touch it.
I would have 2 amendments. The first one is that there will be absolutely no change orders that increase the cost, because I'm afraid that a bidder may underbid, thinking they can make up the difference with change orders. And then the other one that concerns me is only a 1-year warranty. If they don't compact the base and it settles, or the sidewalks crack, I would like to see a longer warranty.
Yeah, I would defer maybe to Dana Riddell. I think we should ask for the maximum warranty. I agree with you with something like that. You would think there'd be more to it, a commercial structure. We could ask for the maximum warranty, but a year isn't enough. You would want something 3 to 5 or something of that nature.
At least 2, so it goes through a full annual cycle of rains and whatever's.
It's often the workmanship that creates the warranty issues as opposed to the materials themselves. So
Yeah, I'm worried the workmanship.
Right.
But mostly is that there will be absolutely no change orders.
I would suggest that our maximum not to exceed big cap then be $610,000.
Just to round it out?
What?
Just to round it out?
Just to round it out, and frankly, if the town has to put an extra couple of grand in this to make it a project, we do that, just because the town is the one that, I won't go any further. Yes, still round it out.
I don't know that it's reasonable to ask for no change orders, but I would just say that minimal change orders, or maybe that's not even addressed, but I don't know that it's, I mean, I've built a number of buildings, so not built them, but supervised them being built, and there's always something. So I don't know. I think, but we would certainly need to limit them, certainly.
Maybe we can put some language, change orders are absolutely
discouraged,
critical, but I do think that comes in the award, because when you have the lowest bidder that's the most responsive and responsible bidder, and you see a big spread, that's when you're possibly looking at someone that's looking for change orders, as opposed to, when this comes back and we go through our scoring and we're trying to work on that, that's when council can look at this and say, you know, this one's the lowest bidder, it's under the budget, but there could be a lot, everybody else is much higher. I think you're asking yourself for change orders. That's just in the process of who you award the bid to. We have questionnaires for backgrounds. We can do those background checks and things, but I think we can put some language like everybody does and be serious about it. I mean, the council's serious about that.
But even if, let's say, there was one bidder who came in at 610,
Right?
they could still raise up till it get to who knows what. So there has to be something that limits change orders.
Well, I think even taking change orders into account, the maximum limit for this project remains the same. But your change orders can't put you over that.
A change order takes two parties.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah, so we can always refuse the change.
And maybe
Right.
inherently, we can say council has not authorized staff or anyone to agree to change orders except for council, and let them come to council and explain why they need a change order, and the public can explain that.
Yeah. I think
Rather
that's-
opposed to
And
just submitting a
also,
document.
just to add to that, just the way that it's structured, we have a full schedule of values, so they are going to have to put in each dollar amount, and that's the representation we made. So that's also why we did it that way, because to your point, we cannot have folks coming in here later on and saying, oops, I didn't realize that the cost of some reclaimed wood was going to go up. So that's part of why they have to actually attest to all of that too.
Right, and I'd hate to have a change order scaling back in order to make the budget. So as they get into it, okay, we'll take this fence off or we'll take this off. So that's where I would be concerned, not just the scope of the work, but then also the dollar. Any other items?
Have we addressed all of your questions, Ms. Groves? Have we addressed everything?
Kara, do you need any further?
So I think we've addressed it all, so I'll recap my notes on here. I think we're okay with the liquidated damages at the $499 with the knowledge that if the numbers go down, we will absolutely change that as soon as that meeting's over. Not to exceed bid cap, we're going to round to 610. We're going to make sure the language is clear on change orders, that they're not going to be allowed. However, we do have language. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware before I sign off on this. The only language we have that specifically allows for a change order is if there's a utility conflict, essentially, that was not anticipated by either party. So we wrote on here that relocation of existing utilities is included only where specifically shown or identified on the site plan. Unforeseen conflict shall be handled via change order. We felt that that was a reasonable, if we mess something up on that end, but that's the only piece of it there that I wanted everyone to be aware of. And then the warranty, I heard 3 years for the warranty. Is that the number that we want to go with?
Yeah, I'm not in that industry, but I would say we would want the maximum. Maybe we draft it that warranty on workmanship and materials will be a consideration in awarding the bid, and the contractor that provides the greatest warranty on their workmanship would be a consideration. Would that work, Ms. Groves?
I think so, yeah. I think that, because we do have in here, the applicable manufacturer's warranty period is also included, but yes, I think we could do something to the effect of that's considered in the, not for less than a year, but if it's higher than that, that's a consideration in the tabbing of the bid. Okay. And then I heard on the bid security, we want to lower that to maybe 25,000. I defer to Mike on the, I think it's a question really for council on how much they're comfortable spending. So it does seem to be, we can lower that to whatever council decides, if 25,000 is the better amount.
I don't mind having an amount in there just as an extra thought process, but we're already at $500,000 of bond for them on this, and I think if we were going to have to get bond counsel, I mean, I'm not the attorney, but I hope we wouldn't have to spend $100,000 to collect $500,000.
And it wouldn't have to be us, by the way. It's specialized bond counsel. It's not us.
And that's
Just
the
to
issue,
clarify.
Chairman Royce, is that when you start dealing with this, it's always the last 10% of any deal where you find out your subs weren't paid and you have your subs are making greater claims than what's left, which finance would have in the budget. And then if we get midway through this and it's not completed on the performance bond issue, and we need to make claim on that bond and then bring other contractor in to finish it. This is about risk and about putting you in the best position. I know $100K sounds like a lot, but bond counsel, $400 or $500 an hour, we can at least maybe make that as well. The town would look for a escrow hold of $50,000, and the higher that number is, that would be a consideration in awarding, because if a contractor comes to you and says, look, I'll put up the $100,000, I will guarantee my work product, I will get it done on time, you have a lot more confidence in awarding a bid like that versus somebody, well, I'm not going to do the 100, I only can do 10. That just might be something we need to consider in the bid process as a criteria for evaluation.
No, I understand what you're saying. I also understand that we can load this up with so many pills that it becomes such an unattractive package that everyone just says the juice isn't worth the squeeze here. And I just don't want us to start off poisoning this thing so deeply that no contractor in the next 30 days will even want to look at it. I have a feeling, frankly, that's what's going to happen anyways, and we're just wasting time right now, but fine. I mean, if you want to make it, if I can get another friend to say 50, that's fine, but.
Yeah, we could start there, and it could be a criteria in the award if somebody wanted to put more on the plate to guarantee their performance. They may do that, I don't know. But I know in my last experience with this on a town park, subcontractors were really harmed, and that's where we had to make claim really on their behalf because they didn't have the wherewithal to do it. It would have been nice if the government had a trust fund set up so the subs could get paid. Contractor got paid, but the subs didn't get paid, and that's a main concern in a lot of those bonds, but the performance bond we want to look at as well. So do you want to put $50K on the issue, and then we can go from there?
So as part of our contract with a general GC, we don't require release of subs or anything like that?
Excuse me?
As part of our contract with the GC, we don't require a notification of release of subs?
We do.
We do.
But
Final
you would
payment.
be amazed of how many subs aren't paid, and sometimes those releases are still submitted. It's usually that last 10% of a project where subs are coming in, submitting invoices to the GC higher than what the GC thought they were going to be, and that's where we get the problems. You don't get the release, and then we have those claims, and they're coming before council saying we didn't get paid on this job. And that's what we would like to avoid. Hopefully here you don't have a lot of components. You have a court, nets. You don't have a lot of components in this particular project. But if you were building an entire new park, I would certainly be concerned.
So do I hear 50K as the final?
I mean, are you thinking less? Is council thinking less on this or more, or?
50's okay by me. And I have a final question in a minute, but I'm good with whatever y'all propose.
I think 50 is okay as well.
Okay. And then the last last one is just this questionnaire. I just put it up on the screen. Hopefully you can see, but it just if you want to add anything to it. This is typical to ask questions of the contractors to make sure they can do this kind of work and further ensure we're making the right decision. But if anybody has any extra questions they want to add, I will add those in here.
Fine. So my ultimate question is, we put together this bid package in the next several days. How does it get advertised other than just some random posting? I mean, do we have an aggressive means to reach out to the companies in this portion of the state that do this type of work?
So it will go out on the BidNet system, which is broad. It's beyond the state too. Versus in the past, we've just put bids on our website. This will actually go into the system. Not the easiest system to load it up, so, you know, with these changes in that, but we'll put it out there. The same that we've done with the police department, the sewer plant, and the lighting, other projects.
I would hope and ask that when the bid documents are ready, that someone on staff reach out to those interested parties that have been following this for several years to make sure that they at least have the ability to share with the folks they know in the industry that it's finally out there. So at least they have the opportunity to say to folks, those GCs that they've heard of, just make sure they're aware, you know, just in case those guys, especially in this compressed 3 or 4 week period, aren't going to bidsrus.com, you know, to find it.
I will defer to Mike on this, but I believe we're not allowed to individually solicit, because if there was a bid contest, that would come out as evidence that we solicited people in particular. So I think we're limited on publishing through normal channels and records, but I'll defer to Mike.
So we're not allowed to tell members of the public that it's available?
No, you can inform members of the public. They're here watching and listening, and that's, right now, a contractor could make a request and get the agenda item. Well, I think what we're going to do is go through BidNet, general practice of the town, and we can inform individuals that it's out on the street. And the intention, from my understanding, is to make these amendments and have this ready to go tomorrow.
Well, there's a lot of work that needs to, that's our goal, right?
Yeah,
That's our
the
goal,
but
to try to get all of the documents from tonight's meeting changed so that we can then get them into BidNet.
Because the timeline, we don't want to miss that August, back it up.
Yeah, this can't wait a week.
Right. No,
We
there
don't
was
have
not
one.
going to be a week. I mean, I just heard, you know, in the next couple days. Our intent is tomorrow. That's what our goal was going to be tomorrow.
I'd say tomorrow, yeah. And I don't even want to say a couple days, because then people drag their feet. We need it tomorrow, because we need to be as fair as we can in this late hour to the contractors.
So, Councilmember Royce, to the comment that you just made, and what, I don't know, Mike, if you heard Kara's answer to it, you know, the comment was to have staff reach out to these vendors we've been working with to let them know that it's out there. We're not going to do that, because that's, you know.
No, and I
However,
did not
I'm
mean, I
certain
did not
that-
mean that the town would reach out to specific vendors or contractors. I just think that it's important, and I'll take care of it too, that the parties that have a vested interest in this may know the types of people that would potentially bid on this. And we just need to make sure that we have at least where we could share with the public, yes, they can go to www.bidnet or whatever it is, and it's out there available now for.
So along with BidNet, we possibly could put it on Facebook and put it on Nextdoor app and all of that. And that puts it out and pushes it out a different way. That would be okay, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing that we generally do with trying to recruit.
With others, yeah.
Yeah, this was really designed, and you can see, council, that we wanted to get guidance from you before we just put these documents out on the street, and somebody would say, oh, that's a poison pill, oh, that's not tight enough, oh, that's too tight, and this is why it's a policy decision for council to move forward. And the risk is, you know, $500,000+ and we're just trying to ensure that if anybody's serious about doing the work, that it's going to be completed within that budget, and it's a quality project.
So are you satisfied? We could go ahead with a motion now. Are you cool? You satisfied? Yeah? Okay. So I guess the motion then would be to authorize town attorney's office and town clerk to finalize and issue the invitation to bid for the Lake June Pickleball Complex substantially in the form presented, subject to resolution of the outstanding items identified tonight, with bids to close August 11th, 2026, and the award recommendation to return to council for final decision on August 17th, 2026.
Second, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was waiting for Miss Eberhardt to just jump on the train and
I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any more comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Seeing none, bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
And I'll reiterate from all the other meetings, no, because of the financial unknowns with the possible cut in real estate taxes, plus all the things that the mayor just mentioned for the add-ons. So it's a no.
Motion passes. So moving on, we pulled item E. We'll move on to F, Ridge League of Cities.
I think we have one more item.
Oh, there's a second?
Well, it came up today during the meeting with the county staff. Probably council needs to go ahead and, I guess, give direction that we prepare that supplemental document and have it up to the county by 5 o'clock tomorrow, I believe. And then who's going to be the representative? It could be, all of you for that matter, as long as you're not talking among yourselves, but you could present. That would be a discussion I would ask so we don't lose that opportunity.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that, or you're just saying? I think it was a given before. We're going to the county. We're putting the package together.
Well, would we have a representative? Would Mayor, you going to represent the county in that, or would you want somebody else, or a motion from the?
What do you all want?
I think our mayor would be
I think our mayor ought to do it.
good representative.
I think Greg Sapp would be great.
I think the mayor would be a good representative, and if you need backup, we can always be in the audience, but
Okay.
I think it looks best for the town if the mayor leads that charge.
I'd be happy to do that. Is that not approval? Would
No,
you need a
that's
formal
fine. It's just,
motion?
I didn't want, like, the county commission to have a meeting and they look for a town representative and nobody appeared. And it's kind of, at least somebody's there to answer any questions, and we don't know what they're going to do with those elements, so that is a discussion.
And
Okay.
did you need something in the way of a motion with reference to getting something to the county by 5 o'clock tomorrow, so that it gets on the agenda?
No, you don't need a formal motion. We're going to do that.
We're just going to get that done. No worries.
It's going to get done.
Okay.
Karen and I are well aware of it, and Dana. We know it needs to be done, what the county's expecting. They've already started
Yeah.
an agenda item.
Okay.
It's just a matter of us providing the supplemental material based upon tonight's meeting.
Okay,
But I
thank
just
you.
certainly want a representative. I think it's good. It's polite to show up at meetings where you have an agenda item.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
And Madam Mayor, Mr. Durham, since this is an item that we've already voted on in the county commission public meeting, it would be okay if there were several of us there and even spoke in favor of the issue, correct?
You're speaking on a matter that is likely not coming back before you as to whether or not the RPAC money will be fully funded or not fully funded. So I would not think it would violate the Sunshine Law.
Okay.
If you were going up there to advocate and then have to come back here next week and do this process, I think that would be problematic. It's close, but here's the thing. You're making all the comments at the podium in the sunshine, that's been advertised with an agenda item. So I think it's certainly a lot cleaner than meeting at a restaurant and having a political candidate. But good question. I think each of you could appear on that issue.
No, you gave me the answer I thought, and obviously, since I get paid to be at those meetings by a different entity, if the mayor is there and the mayor is presenting, I will sit very quietly
No
and
problem
not
at
go
all.
up, but
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah,
No.
okay, thank
So
you.
that's been pretty much established. You're at a restaurant and the mayor is presenting something, as long as you're not engaging back and forth. But even in this context, this particular matter will not come back before you. So,
Just wanted to broach this again in the
Good.
public.
yeah, good thought.
Okay, we're good on that topic.
Yes.
Moving on. Moving on to item F, the Ridge League of Cities nomination letter for the 2026 Florida League of Cities Annual Conference, and this is a scholarship. This should go pretty fast, is as we did with the scholarship. Oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely. Please come up and identify yourself and your address for the record.
My name is Scott Saines with Central Contractors, and address is 1245 County Road 621 East. Thanks for giving me the opportunity just to find out what's going on. I came in last Friday looking to talk to somebody within the town, just like, okay, what's happening with this thing that we bid back in March? And kind of got kicked around a little bit and said, hey, they're going to talk about it tonight. So I'm just trying to get out to find out what is the status with the project. Are you doing the project? Are you not? Is it going to go back out for bid? That's all I'm trying to find out.
Which project?
The Lake Placid ball field lighting project.
Oh, the ball field
The
lightings.
one that got pulled tonight.
Yeah. So it will, I can't answer if it's going to go out to bid. When I got the information and I looked at the information, it hadn't had attorney review. I had not looked at it, so I pulled it. Give me the few days this week. It may go on next week's agenda. So I apologize that you didn't know that it was pulled. There were various contractors came in, and I think that the way possibly the actual quote went out, it was difficult for us to compare them consistently to see that the work that was being bid on.
Okay. So then I'll hear from you then in a couple of days?
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
By the end of the week, maybe.
Sorry for interrupting.
Because they just loaded up my platter for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. I hear you got a lot going on between now and tomorrow. So yeah, that's fine. And
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting. I just didn't.
No, that's fine. I didn't know if it was the pickleball lights. I think we were kind of like, okay, is this the pickleball lights?
Well, we've
or
been
the
on
witch
that a couple
lights?
of times too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item F. What this is earlier we talked about, we had the scholarships from the Ridge League of Cities. So we, the town, belong to the Florida League of Cities, and then there's a separate entity for various counties that we've joined. And then I also belong now to the Mayor's League of Cities, so 3 different entities that can help us. And the annual Florida League of Cities meeting is in October, and I have registered for that. I think Councilmember Hayes, you went last year, Councilmember Worley, and the town administrator went. So I went ahead and reserved myself for that. And then I find out that the Ridge League of Cities offers a $1,000 scholarship to any member that has not previously attended the Florida League of Cities, which would be myself. So I said, fine, what do I need to do to apply for the scholarship? And they said, well, you need a approval from the town council, and thus in the packet is a letter to be signed by the vice mayor, and then a letter from myself, and I wrote that up and put it in there, and then I need to send it to the Ridge League of Cities. The scholarship is offered to any city that has under 8,000 residents, so I think that we sit very good to be able to receive that. So this is asking for council support to apply for a $1,000 scholarship for myself to attend the Florida League of Cities Conference this
I
year.
make a motion, we approve the nomination letter and authorize the vice mayor to sign on behalf of the town council.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to G, budget amendment, purchase of a replacement chlorine skid. I'm going to turn that over to the chief. This should go pretty fast because it's changed from a approval to an information and subsequent approval with the emergency needing to do that last week.
This is a piece of equipment that basically makes our water potable so that we can drink it. It is needed in our wells. Last week we had and correct me if I'm wrong, it's an airlock on one of our wells, and it prompted us to have to move a little quicker than we thought we would have to get this replaced. So the part's been ordered and steps have been taken to go ahead and repair this problem. But we still need the approval for the budget amendment.
Make a motion to approve a budget amendment in the amount of $31,400 to purchase a replacement chlorine skid for the Serena Water Treatment Plant.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to H, Resolution 2026-09, temporary use permit for a dog park. And we'll ask Dana to go ahead and brief us on that one, please.
Good evening, Dana Riddell, Town Planner. For the record, it came to our attention that a dog park was approved with CRA funds in the lot next to the old Town Hall building. And this building, or this particular lot, and several others throughout town might contain grandfathered uses, but because we're proposing a new use on this property, again, it came to our attention that the zoning is not in place. The town does not have a public zoning designation, and we have a firehouse coming in that could also benefit from a public zoning district, as well as the downtown library and the Devane Park, the basketball courts, things of that nature. If we apply a public zoning instead of a PD, we're able to just move things along much more quickly and much more smoothly. So in the interim, it was proposed that we use a temporary use permit to allow the construction of the fence for the dog park. And as that continues to move forward, we will continue working on creating a public lands zoning district and get our properties into further compliance.
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2026-09.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments from the dais?
I have some questions.
Go ahead, please.
You have this, this development, this, what do you call that, that you're creating here? What kind of a
Public zoning district.
How big is the district?
So it's a zoning designation, like we have the commercial district, the agricultural district. It's, by the time we're done, I'm sure will encompass several acres, but this will be a brand-new zoning district.
So this is a public use district for the dog park. That's not going to include the fire station, that's up here, unless you're going to make it miles.
Right, so we create the zoning district, which is what allows us to apply the public zoning, and then we also have to rezone those properties that need that zoning designation. So we'll have to rezone the fire station property and several other properties throughout town that don't have the zoning in place to do what they're currently requesting to do.
So how could we do this without that? Because now you're saying that if we do this and we make that zoning change, we've got to make zoning change to 5 or 6 other properties as well.
No.
Right,
Yes.
we don't have to, but
But
it
you
would
won't
be-
let any development go forward unless they do.
me personally, have no dog in the fight.
No, I know, you don't, it's a dog park, no, I'm just teasing. But, but no, I mean, your office, your planning, your, all this stuff, but if we do this, it's gonna make us go to rezone all these other things when we do it, because we've done it for one little dog park.
It would be a cleaner way of moving forward. Some properties already have the zoning in place. Other properties do not. Like the residential district allows certain public uses. So like the Dow Hall Park and the Lake June ball fields do not need rezoning because those are permitted uses in those districts. Downtown around Devane Circle has a commercial zoning, which does not allow these uses that are currently proposed and grandfathered in those areas.
So how did we choose this property?
There was a request on the table to move forward. I was told that I was going to be asked to sign off on a permit, and the first thing you do when you sign off on a permit is to confirm that the zoning allows the use. The zoning did not allow the use. I brought the concern forward, and this is a solution that would allow us to move forward while still bringing the properties into compliance.
Okay, fine,
Dana,
but-
let me just, so when we went forward to use this parcel for a dog park, it was determined that parcel is a C1 zoning. Well, guess what? So is Devane Park today a C1 coding, so is the basketball. So then it's like, okay, so what are we gonna do? So the temporary is to do, if we want to move forward with the dog park, then we need a temporary use for just a dog park. Then the right way to do it is then look at all of those properties there that are being used for recreation today and zone them to a recreation use. So it's another one of those things is we went to do something, we discovered some other things that need to be fixed at the same time.
And Madam Mayor, I believe this resolution speaks to this specific piece of property.
That's all this one is.
And theoretically, the only property we may put into public zoning district is this particular piece of property. So it doesn't, Councilwoman Hayes, it does not force us to rezone or do any other properties. We may very well do that, but this resolution speaks specifically to this particular parcel.
Area. I mean,
Right.
this
But
one is a temporary for this parcel, but then the discussion is then do you do a planned development for the
Right, but this-
Devane, but this is.
This
just for
resolution
this.
speaks to that
That's it.
specific dog
Yes.
park area,
Yep.
property.
And
Yes.
why is the dog park exactly here? Why isn't it somewhere else?
Because we said we'd allow a dog park there.
And that's what the CRA approved.
The CRA approved a dog park. I didn't think the CRA approved a dog park in that location.
No,
Yes.
that was the proposal with the picture of where it would be, and we talked to First Insurance and the surrounding
And
areas.
they were okay with it.
Yes.
So now we have another one of our favorite planned development projects, which is.
Not yet.
Yeah, that-
Today
that-
on the table is just this parcel.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, I'm just going on the record, that you are opening a can of worms for planned development. Because I know that our planner loves planned developments, and every time we turn around, there's another planned development. Look at Lake Placid Marine, they're trying to do something good to their property. Oh, no, we have to have a planned development for that. Oh, no, we have to have a planned development for this. I'm not interested in a planned development for a dog park.
I think you mean in many instances, the code requires planned developments, but in this instance, I'm actually actively working to avoid planned developments by applying a public zoning district.
Okay.
And I think you will be quite satisfied when you see some of the ideas that I'll bring forward in that zoning district to give the town a little leeway to avoid concerns like we had in the past regarding the exterior finish of the old fire department when that was a big issue. I'm looking for ways to find flexibility for our infrastructure to come to fruition, so I hope you can appreciate that.
I'm going to hold you to that. Okey dokey.
Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to I, approval of memorandum of understanding with I3 Broadband for fiber optic network deployment in the town's right-of-way.
Okay, good evening again. Kara Groves here, esteemed council members and mayor. So we have another fiber installer. This time it is I3 Broadband LLC. This is identical memorandum of understanding to the first one we had with Clearwave last month, I forget, but this is, as we spoke that first time, we are not going at nothing different than what this memorandum of understanding has been from the get-go until we get an ordinance in place. So it's the exact same terms and provisions. We've attached a copy, and so we'd ask for the town to approve the memorandum of understanding with the understanding that it's still going to go in for permitting. And I believe there's actually no cabinet, and I'll have Dana confirm, but I think that there's no structures in this one. So I know that was a concern from the last meeting, but here, no structures, and everything else is the same. I'll take any questions that anyone has.
I think we actually have a representative from the company, if you just want to come up in just 2 minutes.
Good evening, Michael Duran. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm here as a construction regional manager for I3, based out of Illinois, for the Florida market. I'm here. I live local, Cape Coral, so I'll be ensuring that this construction goes through. We use local partnerships here. The construction folks, contractors that are local to Florida, have been building here for about 15 years. I3, we actually been in the business since 1994. We've been providing fiber to a home since 2003.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Lake Placid and I3 Broadband LLC, doing business as I3 Broadband, for installation of a fiber optic network within town rights-of-way, and to authorize the mayor to execute the MOU on behalf of the town.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any comments from the dais?
I don't think we can do for one and not for another. When these different firms come in and they want to do this fiber optics, I think we've approved one. I think we have to approve them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Any comments from the audience? Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to the last item on the agenda, J, Florida Rural Infrastructure Fund Grant Application. I'll turn it over to the chief.
Yes, we have actually already submitted this grant application. We had till 5 p.m. today to get this in. Basically, this grant is going to be able to go to lift station rehabilitation, modernization, manhole rehabilitation and lining, collection system improvements, inflow and infiltration reduction, skate and emergency power improvements, septic to sewer expansion, regional wastewater infrastructure planning, continued implementation of the capital improvements program. Basically, there is no match on this grant that we know of at this time. We've gone ahead and applied for this and wanted to make council aware of it. Are there any questions on this? No?
I think we have a motion though, right?
Yeah, there's a motion because there's another element to that.
Okay, I don't have it.
Yep, I apologize. That was the last minute, and it is not in
It's not
the
in
P
your-
drive. I don't have it. I didn't put it in the
Okay, I don't
P
have it.
drive.
Yeah. I guess it's a motion to accept the report from the mayor and the town administrator, along with a motion to send this matter to the Utility Commission under Chapter 135 of the code, because they manage grants and process grants for council, to be on top of this particular grant and report back to council. So that would be the motion.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments from the dais?
As I told the chief the other day, I would encourage town staff, whenever they get a chance, since we are under no obligation to accept grants.
apply, right.
They should apply and not let a deadline pass. If they feel it's a worthwhile project, we can always pull the plug later or not accept the grant, but let's don't miss a potential good application because of council timing. I
Thank
think
you.
that's what I told you the other day.
I would
Thank you.
agree with that as well,
Yeah.
absolutely. We have to give our folks some leeway and let us get involved in some of these things. If it doesn't require any match on our part, I think they should go ahead and put in for things, and if we decide we're not going to go forward with them, then we don't.
Agreed.
My only question is if we employ a grant writer and then turn down a grant, are we obligated to compensate the grant writer?
Are you talking about an employee as a grant writer or basically a headhunter grant writer?
If we hire a grant writer and they go through the process and then we decide that we can't afford to do
Can't
the
afford the
matching or
match.
whatever, are we obligated to reimburse the grant writer?
We'll just have to look at that business relationship and to protect ourselves from that.
Okay, that's just my caution for future, that things aren't always free.
Historically, we were told anyways, that we had to accept the grant. Once we accepted the grant, then we were obligated, but that was back when we were using consultants to do that kinds of things. I mean, I'll let Mr. Durham, that's his expertise, but I was specifically talking about our in-house staff, but I think even with a grant writer, it was once you accepted the grant, then you had some obligation.
Okay, I was going on the theory that if you put your house for sale and you get a buyer, and then you say, no, I changed my mind, you're still obligated to the real estate agent.
At a certain time, especially if you accept the grant. To me, that's the relationship that we've talked about, I think, is that do you make or buy? Can we use grant finders to bring us? Because we're in a unique position, very rural county, small budget, and there may be folks out there that want to pitch us grants. We just need to look at that relationship because there's so many opportunities.
I know it doesn't apply to this one, but just to keep in the back of our heads.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any more comments from the dais? Out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, we'll just kind of go around real quick if there's any items for an update. Brandon? Rachel? Alan?
Yes, I just wanted everyone to be aware that we had a representative come by from GS Products who wanted to demonstrate a garbage truck vehicle. So he's allowing us to use it all day tomorrow to do the residential route. And then we'll take it to the landfill and then he'll be on his way. So the truck that he brought was 15-yard, which is about half the size of the ones we normally have. It was just a mix-up on his end, but he said it should get 6 to 8 yards, which is right about what we collect on a Tuesday route anyway, so it should all be normal timing. In the event that the truck packs out, it might have to go to the landfill, come back, and continue the route. But I just wanted everyone to be aware, if you see an unmarked garbage truck coming by, it's just a demonstration vehicle.
That's funny, an unmarked garbage truck running around. Thank you, Alan. Eva?
I have nothing.
We just have a meeting this week.
So you have your workshop on Thursday, 2 o'clock for the joint LUPRAC and Town Council,
Okay,
and then your regular meeting next Monday.
perfect.
At the bottom of the agenda is also the workshops for the budgets, all listed out. I believe it's July 30th, August 6th, and August 27th for your budget workshops.
And next Monday's meeting, we'll have the millage, and it's important that all town council members be here if we need the unanimous vote. So if you're not able to make it, please let us know so that we determine a special meeting in order to get that done. Okay? Mr. Attorney? Chief?
Nothing, just want to say thank you to Eva for all her hard work getting this packet together.
Councilwoman Eberhardt?
I was at, the TDC has an informal brainstorming group that I'm a part of, and it's the 3 towns put together. And it's like, for example, the Sebring mayor, Chamber of Commerce people, council people, whatever, ad hoc group. And one of the things that they are organizing, or we are organizing, is the first annual Garden Week. And the idea is to bring tourists down here in the off-season. It's September 8th through the 13th. And it's not a garden tour. It's anything that you can think of that you could somehow tie in flowers or gardening. One restaurant is having flower bingo. Another venue is having where they bring somebody in to you can do your own painting, and it would be a floral-based painting. So I want to get the word out. I have a flyer here, but if you go to on Facebook and look up, search Garden Week, you can find the flyer and the information, and there's a form there if you're interested, if you have a business that's interested, there's a form there to submit your ideas. The due date is the 17th, Friday, and that's the due date because they're going to do massive media materials and out of the county media work. You can submit after that, but the deadline for getting your materials into the media is on Friday. So the other person to contact would be Casey Hart with the TDC. So it's Casey at visitsebring.com. And they are truly trying to get all 3 of us towns together and support each one. It's not just Sebring.
Just so you know, I heard that on the radio this morning. They had it on the radio.
Just on that note for TDC is the TDC membership that we had expired. And so at the last county commissioners meeting, they appointed the Avon Park representative. So at this point, we don't have a town of Lake Placid doesn't have a representative on TDC, but we have Joy on the ad hoc committee.
I'm in the unofficial committee.
Okay.
I think that rotates back and forth. That 1 year it's Avon Park and 1 year
It's like 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So they have that, Brittany has that for 4 years. They said it's like a half a head dedicated to Avon Park and half a head to us.
Right.
So that's their 4-year term.
Yeah,
Okay. Councilwoman Hayes, you have
I would be
anything?
curious if, Mayor, you might be able to find out, there was such a big deal made about our kiosks. That there was a kiosk in the, I call it the Casey kiosk, the kiosk in Sebring, the kiosk in Avon Park, the kiosk in Lake Placid. How are our kiosks doing, and are the other towns' kiosks sending us any business? And are we sending any business to the other towns?
I don't have any data on that, and I don't know if, one of the objections was that the kiosk said Sebring, and they were going to have them reskinned for each town.
They were going to have them what?
The outer advertising on the kiosk initially was in big letters, Sebring.
Right.
And they were going to ask the manufacturer to do individual ones. And I believe each town, you have to input your own data, not through the TDC. But if you have a restaurant or whatever, give them your data, and they should load it up onto the kiosk.
Well, I've seen ours. I pass it every Saturday. I'm on my way to Wet Dogs, and I just saw a young kid working on it the other day. I have looked at it, looked through it, and I was adequate with what it was looking. But that's us sending business elsewhere. I want to know who's sending business to us.
All 3 towns are in on it.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
But our kiosk sends business to other towns.
But
I want to know, are people in the other towns looking at that kiosk and then coming to us?
Yeah, well, if they load up, then they say, okay, what's in the area?
If they're in Sebring and they load it up and say, well, what's around here?
Yeah, I know that, but
And
I
so
want to know if anybody's coming.
I don't have any data on
But
that.
I bet you.
But we can ask her for the data. I think that's a good point. It's been in place for a year. What's the data showing? Where is the data being collected? And then, what are they searching for? So all that should be available. We can ask her for that, I think. Councilmember Royce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor and the others involved in putting together the July 4th program. I was out of town, but I saw the pictures, the video. Looked like a great time was had by all. Thank you to all that were involved, the businesses, anyone who contributed. I want to congratulate Alan again on his work anniversary. I have always found Alan to be an excellent representative of the town and extremely helpful with anything that I've ever discussed with him. So congratulations, Alan. Thank you for your hard work. I want to make sure I understand it correctly. Next week, we're going to be asked to set the maximum millage rate, correct?
That is correct.
And in order to exceed the rollback rate, it'll take a unanimous vote of 4 council members.
Correct.
And we all have to be here to do that.
Correct.
Okay. And so I assume the expectation is that you all are going to present us a millage rate that's above the maximum advertised millage rate, that's above the rollback rate. So I look forward to that conversation. Number 2, I'd also encourage the mayor and the temporary or interim administrator to have some conversations with Ms. Herner and probably more importantly, County Commission Chairman Elwell. I was very disappointed in particular, the comments about when they were going to commence activity on the Lake Placid Firehouse and EMT station. So they got approval, much like we did, and they had moved Spring Lake ahead of us in line and took the money that was originally, and so it's under construction. And so what they basically said is, well, we may be able to get to it in a year. Well, that's when government says we're going to get to it in a year. We know that doesn't really mean a year, And so I think on behalf of both our town and the 30,000 of us that call the Greater Lake Placid area home, we ought to have more of a conversation with the chairman and others about how do we move that project forward. They have repeatedly said that they, even if they had not got that money, had the money set aside to build this station. They were just waiting, obviously, to get the money. So I think we ought to put their feet to the fire to get moving on that sooner rather than later. That's why I asked the question earlier. I think there's even things they could be doing now that did not involve funds that they're going to have to do, but they're obligated to it. And then, Madam Mayor, hopefully maybe next Monday we'll be at a position where you can share with us how things are going in regards to the administrator search or applications, or my understanding we've had a couple, and if that's not the appropriate time to share, I'm interested in the coming weeks to know what your impressions are of the process so far. Thank you all.
Okay, it's 8:29. I declare this meeting adjourned.